Woo! Good morning and happy Thursday to those who celebrate. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch with you. And everybody here is a little worn out. We had a late night, a long one, a good one. Holiday Bowl 2023 in the books. The 44th annual DirecTV Holiday Bowl, played by USC in Louisville, did not disappoint. That was a high-scoring affair. That was a fun watch. It was a fun game to broadcast through. TD over on KGB FM, myself on the call on San Diego Sports 760 right here with John Schaefer. What a blast. That was an exciting game. There were a lot of people in attendance. A lot of USC fans obviously made the trek down the I-5, and also they're among us. Trojans among us. They showed up at Petco Park. But yeah, a little bit of fireworks in the game and then a lot of fireworks afterward.
What a showing, man, from start to finish. That was a fun game. That was a fun event. San Diego, they put on a show. Yeah. I mean, hands down. I mean, and they had national eyeballs on them. They were on a national stage and they did not disappoint. Yeah.
I guess gratitude or congratulations, I guess is the better word, to Mark Neville, CEO of Sports San Diego, who made a bunch of visits on this show to discuss the Holiday Bowl. Obviously giving a bunch of tickets for us to give away to our listeners, and the whole committee over there who wear the red coats and volunteer every year to put on a great show for the city here. This will be a historic Holiday Bowl in a lot of different ways. You all witnessed the last Holiday Bowl featuring a Pac-12 team in the current state of the Pac-12. I mean, there's only two Pac-12 teams left coming in 2024, Washington State and Oregon State. They're going to be in a scheduling alliance with the Mountain West. It looks like that's what we're heading toward for the 2024 football season. And then who knows what's next in college football. But this will be the last Holiday Bowl featuring a Pac-12 team against an ACC team. And it was, there were 72 points scored last night.
Miller Moss, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, 6 tutties, 372 through the air.
Yeah.
Talk about, like, the ESPN put up that meme where it was the Spider-Man taking on and off his glasses, and when they were off, it looked like it was Caleb Williams, but it was all blurred out. And then he puts them on and it's Miller Moss. And dude, it's good for him on a performance like that. He gets his first real action at the college level, and he's just throwing the football all over the place. 6 touchdowns. That had to be a lot of fun for you and John.
Oh, it was a blast. And that's a Holiday Bowl record. 6 touchdowns have never been thrown in a Holiday Bowl.
Which is wild to think about the amount of points that get scored in Holiday Bowl games.
Yeah.
And that's the record.
That's crazy. And then on top of it, we saw the longest interception return in Holiday Bowl history.
When that pick happened, I thought he's gone. It's 98 yards.
Yeah. And that leveled the game out. It was back and forth the whole way. Louisville did not go away. They had that running back who went off. Gerendo had a crazy game. It was a lot of fun.
Eggnog got dumped on Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
That didn't look fun to me.
No, that part did not.
And Lincoln Riley's kind of a little stuck up anyways, and he looked like he went along with it. But I inside his head, he was like,
yeah, okay. I'm
gonna smell bad.
I will say though. So yesterday, West Virginia, the Mountaineers, they won the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
That looked worse.
Their head coach gets doused with mayonnaise.
By the way, did you guys see the tailgate for the Duke's Mayo Bowl?
God.
A bunch of college kids filled up mayonnaise bottles with booze and were just squirting it at each other.
Oh, God.
Like Gatorade squeeze bottles.
Oh, my God.
And it was chunky liquor, man.
I was going to say, how do you wash that out?
Head coach Neil Brown takes the mayo bath after the Mayo Bowl. So if you're asking me what I would prefer A, to be in San Diego for the Holiday Bowl, and B, get an eggnog shower instead of a mayo bath.
Yeah. Eggnog shower, though, getting close.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot. Yeah, it's a good point, too.
Getting close.
There's a lot of eggs in eggnog.
A lot of
eggs and mayonnaise.
That's what I'm saying.
But you don't have the oil. Like, the oil and mayonnaise is what gets it into the crevasses.
Yeah, it's true.
And you get all that, the vinegary smell. Like, he's going to. All right. So, Coach Neil, he's going to be finding mayo in places you should never find mayo for a long time.
Gross. So a big topic of conversation before the game Rich, when I had both you and John on, was like, well, teams aren't exactly making it easy on play-by-play and color analysts in college football these days because of the amount of opt-outs heading into games. Did you feel like it was a huge negative impact on the game yesterday that you weren't seeing the frontline starters for both teams?
Yes, from the standpoint of the buzz heading into the matchup. I think that from a national standpoint, San Diego, like you said, TD, they showed up. But Fletch, to your point, I think from a national standpoint, if you have Caleb Williams, if you have some of these skill position players for USC and for Louisville, by the way,
Jerry Rice's kid would have been on the field.
Yeah, Brennan Rice for USC, their star quarterback. On the other side, Louisville didn't have their star running back, Jawar Jordan. And Gerendo played an amazing game. No shade at Isaac Gerendo as the running back for the Cardinals, but Jawar Jordan was like a top 10 running back all year in college football. Their receiver also heading off to the NFL. So there were stars missing. And if you have all those players, like it was not a decade ago, playing football at the collegiate level one last time together, it makes it more exciting, makes it more fun, and makes more people want to tune in and watch the game.
Yeah, there were eyeballs that did not go to that game because of the players who were not playing, and it's unfortunate because it was a hell of a game.
Oh yeah,
but I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting to see that. In fact, I was expecting Louisville to probably win here because they had a more veteran quarterback. I mean, if we're going to say veteran quarterback, but just somebody who's done it before.
Yeah, no,
they were favored coming in by 7.5. I think was the final line.
More than a touchdown. They end up losing by 2 touchdowns. Jack Plummer, who, like you said, has 40 games. I believe that was his 40th college football start under his belt. He goes against a guy who's never started a game in his life, and Miller Moss, in terms of QB play, absolutely outshines him. So there is that great aspect, especially at the college football level, unknown quantities, stepping up to the challenge and having success. It rarely happens in the NFL. I mean, there are those occasions where you'll have a Tom Brady, who's a 6th-round draft pick, become a star in the league, a Brock Purdy, who's,
Thank you.
I know, who's the last player drafted a couple of years ago, take his team to the NFC Championship game. But it happens less so at the professional level because there's more eyes, obviously, on college football, and it gets a lot harder at that next level. So it was fun. It was a really fun night. USC, though, let's put it this way. So in a time of the transfer portal, in a time where you have to pay good starting quarterbacks, $1 million to $2 million per Matt Rule, who said this a month and a half ago. This is Nebraska's head coach during his postseason exit interview with the media. He said, yeah, I mean, when you hit the transfer portal and you're looking for a QB, that's the price tag. Well, for USC, they may have just saved themselves about $1 million or $2 million.
Wow.
Because Miller Moss is right there on their bench.
Yeah.
If he doesn't transfer now and get looks at because he had a great game. College football is so bonkers. So TD, while you were busy cheating on me and Rich, while Rich was really strapping up the boots and doing the play or the color analyst of that game.
Thank you.
But I did a couple hours of radio. It was easy stuff here. But while you were over there cheating on us somewhere else, you were getting people ready for the Sky Show.
That's right.
Was the Sky Show as incredible as it looked online? Because I just saw videos of it, but you were there for it.
It was ridiculous. I mean, that was a hell of a show from start to finish. This is something that KGB does. I was going to say every year. There was a couple year hiatus, but man, oh man. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. This is Disney quality fireworks show is what it is. And it's put to music of classic rock. It's a whole storyline they run through, several different acts. And man, oh man, it just went off. It was fantastic. I was wondering what you're doing with the box.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need some height on that camera.
Yeah. I realized I didn't bring in my other camera, so I'm just using the laptop cam today. So
I was thinking, are we doing what's in the box? I
was kind of hoping we were.
Yeah.
I put something in the box. I told no one. I hope it's not dead.
It's fireworks. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to hit a halftime here in a moment, and then we're going to get to some breaking NFL news that hit the wire again as we sign off of our show. What's with the 9 o'clock hour now? All of a sudden, it's just breaking NFL news. So we'll get to that on the other side of halftime. But first, let's do this.
Well, we've been talking about it all morning, but the 44th annual DirecTV Holiday Bowl went down last night at Petco Park, and the USC Trojans are your Holiday Bowl champs. They beat Louisville 42-28. Miller Moss, playing in place of Caleb Williams, threw for 372 yards, 6 touchdowns. He was your Holiday Bowl MVP. In the NFL, Thursday Night Football tonight. I can't believe it's already Thursday, actually. This was a quick week, which isn't bad, but we got Jets and the Joe Flacco-led Browns, which I'm oddly excited to watch. The Browns, I said this yesterday, they are my new Lions. I'm completely rooting for them. You feel the same way?
I do. However, I feel like the Joe Flacco magic, this is a prime opportunity for it to kind of fall apart here on prime time against a good defense. This feels like the national buzz around him has been so high after that performance last week that this could be the tank job.
Yeah, it does feel that way. I do get that. But elsewhere in the NFL, Rich, you mentioned it right before we got here, but the Denver Broncos have elected to sit Russell Wilson. Jarrett Stidham will get the start versus the Chargers this weekend. What the hell?
Well, and did you guys see the report later on from Diana Rossini? It's not just benching him now; they plan to cut him.
Yeah, well, they're gonna save themselves some money.
$89 million in dead cap over the next 2 seasons doesn't really feel like saving yourself money.
You know what? If you're not winning and people aren't going to the games, you're saving yourself money.
I apologize, 87 million, somewhere in that range.
Damn
near 90.
Thank you.
The one thing that they're really trying to avoid, because yes, that is true about the dead cap money, is this guarantee that kicks in. So Russell Wilson has a clause in his contract that if he doesn't pass a physical in March, he's guaranteed $37 million. So look, dead cap money, that stinks too. But when you owe someone $37 million up front, like all that money has to rush out of your account into his pockets immediately. Holy smoke. So they're going to keep him safe and bubble wrapped on the sideline. They're going to have him nowhere near the action, not even where like somebody could like fall out of bounds, roll into his legs. Like, hey, Russ, why don't you grab a seat over there next to the water cooler? So it's going to be like that. So Russ, he can't get hurt if they want to save that money. And frankly, he needs out of Denver. This hasn't worked from the word go. And I don't know what happened. I mean, I guess you could trace it back to Nathaniel Hackett, maybe allowing him too much freedom. There was reports that he had several different coaches and
his own coaches
surrounding him. I mean, like, I don't know.
And he has his own office. There was reports that he had his own bus. And, it was very, very Bonzi. Yeah, it was very odd.
3 separate offensive play callers during his time in Denver, and it hasn't even been 2 full seasons yet. If you think about it, Nathaniel Hackett eventually relinquished play calling duties to someone else on his staff while he was still the head coach there, and Sean Payton takes over. So he's had 3 different voices in his ears. I mean, including his time in Seattle over the past like 2 full seasons, he's had 4 different voices in the headset. It's not a recipe for success. And so if Russ is going to cook again, it's not going to be Mile High. He's going to be doing that somewhere else.
Sean Payton and Russell Wilson do not look like they're simpatico at all. And it started at the beginning of the season when there was arguments week after week about him wearing the wristband.
Right.
You remember the first 4 weeks, he would not wear the wristband. And I think it came down to you're either wearing it or you're not playing. Puts the wristband on, and they actually started to win. So there was something to that, I do believe, but the relationship just not there. You could see it over the past few weeks as well. As he'd go to the sidelines, there were screaming matches.
Oh my gosh,
it was not good, or it is not good. And I truly believe that Russell Wilson in Denver, there's not a leadership role on the team that is playing out correctly, and because he's not playing bad. I mean, Russell Wilson isn't having a terrible season. But there's just something that doesn't click. And whether that's with the team, the coach, both, doesn't work there. Russell Wilson does need to move on.
I did see a very funny stat yesterday with Russell Wilson because I thought the same thing, TD. It's like he's had a pretty good season when you look at the numbers. But if you look a little deeper at the numbers, he's only had 1 300-yard passing game all season. Do you guys know which game that was?
The Chiefs?
It was the 70-20 loss to the Miami Dolphins.
Really?
Oh, that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
So, with Russ now, it's where does he end up next year? And I just think that the Seattle Seahawks have a very funny thing that they could do, which is let go of him before he gets paid too much money. Well, he gets paid too much money. Now they could probably bring him in on the cheap. And for the Seattle Seahawks, who are still looking for a quarterback solution, unless it's Drew Lock, they have an opportunity to do that. But with the amount of capital that Denver gave up, it's just odd to see an organization that's been so stable for the last my entire lifetime not be able to get the quarterback situation right outside of like John Elway and Peyton Manning. Other than that, it's been a little bit of a disaster.
Well, what's interesting is Russell Wilson is becoming a little bit of a common denominator in terms of turning locker rooms or coaches against him. I'm sure there are players in the league who really like him, and there's coaches who have really gotten along and liked him. But some of the media that we're getting to hear, that's such a weird way to phrase it. I guess some of the interviews of the players that spent time with Russ in that locker room, what we're learning about Russ is he's kept a weird distance between him and his teammates. Like Marshawn Lynch talking about how in order to like talk to Russ, he would need to go through a business manager. Right. Like he wasn't allowed to have his cell phone and call him directly. Like he had to call a go-between. Can you imagine? Like, I mean, because truly doing a show, I'm telling you guys, it's similar to having teammates. Like, this is no different than what I would do with my buddies in a locker room. Like we finish the show and we kind of sit around. Imagine if in order to talk to Fletch, we had to talk to his agent.
I've actually been meaning to talk to you guys about that.
That's coming.
Instituting a go-between. Because you guys just text so late. It's like I've already been in bed for an hour.
True. Could you guys contact Michael if you want to talk to me after 9 p.m.? Thank you.
Really, we can bump that up to like 8:30. But no, I get what you're saying. And like, you obviously never had that situation with Phillip Rivers or Tom Brady.
No.
Yeah, it was an open line of communication, right?
Was married to a supermodel, like an international supermodel, Gisele Bundchen, right? Tom was a guy who would give you a cell phone number. You could reach out to him via, I mean, like it wasn't a problem getting in touch with him. It wasn't a problem sitting down and having lunch with him. It wasn't like he was a human. You know, that's sort of the weird distance that people have expressed that they felt with Russell Wilson. And you can't be a good leader if you can't connect.
Yeah, no, definitely
part of the job.
Definitely a disconnect there. But beyond that, I mean, he's the jerk in the office that's always trying to show you up in some manner, that you're not even doing anything wrong, and he's still trying to call you out like, oh, well, you guys are sleeping on the plane. I was doing some high knee kicks or whatever he was doing.
I wasn't sleeping.
Give me a break.
TD, as a lifelong Broncos fan, does this sadden you at all that Russ isn't going to be the quarterback?
No, it does not.
Does this anger you at all that they messed up another quarterback situation?
Nah, I think the anger's passed. It was last season when you got angry, not so much at the Denver Broncos, because I'm telling you, at the start of last season, I thought this is the greatest contract anyone's ever done. This is going to be the future of contracts, how they set this thing up. They're doing things right there in Denver. And Russell Wilson just didn't work. And it was apparent week one when there was no faith in Russell Wilson to convert on a fourth down. And they put the hands of the game, or I guess the feet of the game, in the kicker's foot on a 64-yard field goal that didn't work out.
So as of right now, and obviously Denver needs to get cheap at quarterback, especially if there's going to be dead cap money because of Russell Wilson. So as of right now, you guys have the 14th overall draft pick, which I thought for some reason that this year's draft pick went to Seattle, but I guess it didn't. So Denver has their own, which that's the only good news you got in this situation. But 14th overall, that's good for a first-round quarterback if you want to get him.
Yeah, or they could potentially use some future capital to trade up and maybe get themselves a higher pick if somebody is falling and they're worried that, outside of the top 10, they're not going to be able to get their hands on them.
Denver does not have a second-round draft pick this year.
Yeah.
So that makes trading up a little trickier.
It can. I mean, but you look forward to the future. You could maybe leverage a 2025 pick if it's important enough to you. Yeah, it's going to be a squirrely offseason for Denver. I'm very curious to see what they do. But overall in the AFC, to expand the conversation beyond just Denver to what we've seen from the quarterback position with the Chiefs or the Jacksonville Jaguars, Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, the narrative on him this season. Deshaun Watson has never materialized with the Cleveland Browns. These are all playoff teams, by the way, right now that I'm discussing.
And these are also some of the highest paid players in the league.
Indianapolis Colts draft a 3rd overall pick with Anthony Richardson. He doesn't make it outside the first 4 games of the season. Pittsburgh Steelers are a mess at quarterback. Yeah. You look at Vegas, they started the season with Jimmy Garoppolo. They're on to Aiden O'Connell, who was playing at Purdue last year, kind of anonymously. Like, it's been a rough year. And Russell Wilson, we were just talking about it, did not work in Denver. So the AFC was touted as this conference of having Joe Burrow. I mean, magnificent quarterback play, and it has been underwhelming at best this season.
Yeah, it's been rough, and it sucks. I mean, that sucks because you want all the best guys out there every single week. That's a much more fun watch.
It's just 2023, the year of the injured quarterback. It sucks to see, and all those guys, maybe outside of Patrick Mahomes, and who knows what he's dealing with injury wise. We don't really get that information. But all of them dealing with some sort of injury this year. And it does stink. And really, when you look at the AFC, Josh Allen's having the best quarterback year of any of them. But the narrative just sticks with him. Like Rich, you were saying earlier this week, like because of what happened at the beginning of the season with Josh Allen throwing a lot of interceptions, that narrative has stuck with him all year. When you look at everything, Josh Allen is by far, maybe outside of Lamar Jackson, having the best season in the AFC at the quarterback position.
Minus the turnovers.
Yeah,
which have leveled out.
It does have a turnover problem.
It has leveled out some. I will say this: if you look at the interception and touchdown ratio, it makes you a lot more confident in Josh Allen. But it's been higher, and
he's responsible for like 85% of their team's touchdowns.
He's been fantastic. He's the only reason why the Bills have a heartbeat and in this chase in the playoff conversation. But you have a stinker on Prime Time, and it'll stick with you, especially if it's a big one like it was that opener against the Jets. So, yeah, returning to this conversation about Russell Wilson, he gets benched final 2 games this season, very similar to the Derek Carr situation with the Raiders. They totally missed on Derek Carr's contract, and then they cut him. He gets an opportunity to sign with the Saints. And it's continuing to go wobbly with the Saints with Derek Carr. The fan base seems to be turning on him. So I don't know if it's going to be necessarily greener pastures for Russell Wilson where he goes next.
Man, people are expecting wins. And when you're making big changes, they want to see big changes, and those changes need to be on the win column.
So Jarrett Stidham takes over.
He does.
And now nationally, this might not be a huge deal, but Rich, for you and me, this is a huge deal.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
the Hockey One Chip Challenge is really coming down to it.
Wait a second. I want you to save it.
Okay.
I want you to save it because this show is going to take a big turn in week 17. We'll explain why coming up next. Also, a Thursday night preview. Is Joe Flacco elite? That's next.
This update is presented by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. Last night on San Diego Sports 760, you heard the 44th annual DirecTV Holiday Bowl at Petco Park. USC beats Louisville 42-28. Backup quarterback Miller Moss throwing for 372 yards and 6 touchdowns in the win. In the NFL, Week 17 gets going tonight. It's the Jets and the Browns in Cleveland. Broncos announcing that Russell Wilson heading to the bench. Jarrett Stidham will take over the starting role for the rest of the season. And in college hoops, San Diego State headed to Spokane, Washington tomorrow. They got the 13th ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs on the schedule. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.
Big Rashidi and Fletch, San Diego Sports 760. Tomorrow is already Bar Card Friday.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
The New Year's Eve edition of Bar Card Friday, brought to you by Keg and Bottle, 10 locations all throughout San Diego County. Tony Khan's going to be here. I do believe we are going to have a special mixologist coming in. Yep. A friend of the show going to be here, and we're going to make some New Year's Eve cocktails.
Yeah, if it works out where producer Shelly of Jesse and Tati in the morning over on 94.1, our sister station star over here at iHeart San Diego, can make it in for her 8 o'clock appearance. She will be our flair bartender. Actually, I don't know if she does any flair bartending, but I know she can mix a drink. I've played in golf tournaments with her, and holy cow, Shelly can put them back, and she can match wits with us. There's no question about it. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun.
That'll be a party.
Also looking forward to tonight. Before we get to the Pocky One Chip Challenge, which is the world's spiciest tortilla chip that one of us is going to have to eat if we lose our season-long win total bet in the NFL, we've got to break down Thursday Night Football.
Yeah. Jets, Browns.
I know.
Is there any more breakdown?
I know the way it sounds. It does not sound like a compelling matchup unless you've been paying attention to the 10-win Cleveland Browns.
Ooh, look at this.
And what's happened with Joe Flacco taking over at quarterback. They're on a 3-win streak right now. They beat the Jaguars. They beat the Bears. They beat the Texans on the road in Houston. Joe Flacco had the best game of his season. And now they host the Jets before playing their finale in Week 18, where they're going to go on the road to Cincinnati. This is potentially a 12-win Browns team. This is a team that has an elite defense. Joe Flacco is manning an offense with weapons. Njoku stepping up as a star tight end in this league this season. Amari Cooper finally making good on, the promise that really was made to Dallas Cowboys fans before the trade. He's looking like a superstar to finish out this season.
Might not play tonight.
Might play. They said he's hopeful.
Game time decision.
We'll see. I hope the stars show up for this one. I hope that Cooper is healthy enough to go. The Jets, look, that is still a dangerous team because they can play solid defense whenever they want to. But Joe Flacco has kept the wheels on. Joe Flacco may win this team a playoff game. Joe Flacco could potentially get this team into the second or third round of the postseason.
Yeah.
Nothing you said there is false. And absolutely, Joe Flacco, obviously, he's done it before. We know that he has the mental aptitude to be able to win late in seasons. However, do you guys remember the Josh Dobbs? He had that 2.5 game stretch with the Minnesota Vikings where everyone was like, oh my God, the Vikings are for real again.
Okay, but
I know there's a big difference between the two.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I get a similar feeling going into this game as I did when the Vikings were going into a primetime game with Josh Dobbs. This could be a blow-up game for Joe Flacco.
That's a healthy fear. And it could be coming for Joe Flacco.
Especially it's a good defense. Joe Flacco having the best game he's had in a half decade. There's just I'm saying this might be the night where Joe Flacco falls apart a little bit.
But the Bears have a good defense, right? Montez Sweat, since coming over to Chicago, that has been a completely different defense. And they hung in there. I mean, it was a tough game, but they hung in there and got that W. Jaguars, underrated defense this season. Really, at times, Trevor Lawrence gets a lot of the flowers and Doug Peterson from his offensive standpoint, but the Jaguars defense has kept them afloat this season in many ways, in many respects. I mean, the Texans with DeMeco Ryans as their head coach has been a sound defense all season, playing way over their head in many games. CJ Stroud, obviously, and then Case Keenum have really helped keep things alive for the Texans. But in back-to-back weeks now, Joe Flacco and the Browns offense have played against, at very least, serviceable, if not good defenses, and have had success winning games along the way. So, yes, the Jets are more of a challenge than all three of those teams. However, again, it's not like Josh Dobbs from the standpoint that Joe Flacco has won a Super Bowl. He was a starting quarterback for the Ravens in 2012 when they outdueled Kaepernick in the Super Bowl.
That was 11 years ago.
And oh, by the way, beat Andrew Luck and prime Tom Brady and Peyton Manning on a tear in Denver.
I know it doesn't feel like it, but that was 11 years ago.
It was 11.
And Joe Flacco has spent a lot of time not playing football here recently. And look, I'm rooting for him. I think the Browns are a great storyline. I think Joe Flacco's a great storyline.
Is Joe Flacco elite?
No. This feels like a moment tonight where on Prime Time, everybody's going to go in expecting Joe Flacco to be great and throw for 320 yards and 3 touchdowns. And what you're going to get is more like a maybe 205.
368 and 3 touchdowns like it did last week.
I'm just predicting the stat line. It's going to be 205, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. That's what I'm thinking for Joe Flacco.
That might be enough.
It might be enough to win.
That might be enough. I don't think he has to be great tonight.
The Cleveland Browns might throw a goose egg up on the New York Jets, who can't get anything going offensively.
Right.
So, maybe that is enough. But I'm just saying, maybe let's pump the brakes on Joe Flacco a little bit. And when you're setting your prize picks lineup tonight, take the less.
I don't think he has to be elite or great tonight. He just has to be good enough. Look, there's not a lot of pressure here because the Browns are looking at this playoff probability percentage. Right now, currently, they have a greater than 99% chance they're going to make the playoffs. If they win, it stays at greater than 99%. If they lose tonight's game, it stays at greater than 99%. So it's not like this is detrimental. They lose this thing, they're out. So there's not the pressure on Flacco. All he's got to do is go out there and just have some fun, just get loose with it. Just put the ball in the hole. Yeah. Tap it in. Just tap it in.
I mean, also, if you look at overall turnovers generated on the season, this Cleveland Browns team is second in the league, only behind the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore has 26 with 16 interceptions and 10 fumble recoveries. The Cleveland Browns have intercepted just as many passes and 9 fumble recoveries for 25 total takeaways. So do you think
Cleveland Browns are going to make a run?
They're also leading the league in yards allowed. Like, the Browns defense is like top of the tippy top tier. And Joe Flacco is coming off his best game of the season. Joe Flacco for president.
I will like. It's also coming off of the lazy boy.
Flacco,
this guy.
Cooper 2024. If you put them on the ticket, I mean, run them as independents. I'll vote for them. I'll write them in.
The more impressive part is what the Browns have been able to overcome this year. Think about the amount of starting. They're under their 4th starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Because you went Deshaun Watson, DTR, to Josh Dobbs, to now.
No, not Josh Dobbs. He plays for the Vikings.
No, not Josh Dobbs. There's another one. What's his freaking name?
Deshaun Watson, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Joe Flacco, and PJ Walker. PJ Walker was the other. In fact, he came in. Well, it doesn't matter. But yeah, he is their 4th different starting quarterback. And yeah, started the season on his couch at home eating tortilla chips on Sundays, watching, scooping some guacamole, going, I wonder if my phone's going to ring. I mean, he had to be traded.
His phone rang.
Yeah.
He answered the call.
The Browns had to trade with the Jets because he still had time. It was just.
So if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that the Browns would have had 4 different starting quarterbacks, I'd have told you there's no chance they're doing anything. And all 3 of us actually predicted that. We all took the under on the Browns at 9.5 total wins.
Wow.
We were wrong already.
Yeah.
Damn. That's crazy.
Dang. I could have used that one.
Whoopsie doodle. Yeah. Well, I mean, the truth is, though, I had zero faith in Deshaun Watson, and that ended up. And I know you guys, I believe that was a conversation that convinced all of us. We were like, yeah, I mean, how could you throw in behind Deshaun Watson? He's struggled all season last year coming off of the suspension. And I mean, nothing I saw led me to believe that this year would be much different. And then he got hurt a bunch. And so it wasn't different. He wasn't durable enough. So unfortunately for the Browns, it looks like they signed maybe the worst contract in NFL history.
Second worst.
Maybe the second worst. We'll see how it finishes out for both Deshaun Watson. It went really bad in Denver, though, with Russell Wilson. I will say that.
Yeah, the bow's already pretty much tied on that one.
Well, but
wait, there was another contract that just came up here in the past couple of weeks. What was it? Who was it?
Who was the worst? But besides Russell Wilson?
Oh man, I can't remember.
Well, I will say this: every single dollar of Deshaun Watson's contract is guaranteed. That is not the same with Russell Wilson. Now they paid him a lot of money already, and there's going to be some dead cap hits that hit them especially if they have to cut him this season if nobody wants him in trade, which could be the case. So we'll see. But yeah, Deshaun Watson not working out in Cleveland, but Joe Flacco's elite. Anyways, we have a very special name making the finalist list on the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We'll get to that in a second. But first, I want to talk to you about the arch supports available over at the Good Feet store. They've got numerous benefits. Pain relief is the chief benefit for me, but better balance, better performance in anything you do, injury prevention, recovery. Good Feet arch supports can alleviate pain in your feet, knees, hip, and back, even your neck. I mean, you can improve your posture just by walking around in these arch supports. You just slide them into your shoes. It's that easy. Whatever your footwear you wear, they can make them fit. Personalized free fittings and tests. And they make sure they're right for you. So if you're interested in enjoying better balance or pain relief or whatever you need to improve the foundation of the rest of your body, which our feet are, they have 200 plus locations around the US and overseas. They've been doing it for 30 plus years. You could book your appointment today at goodfeet.com. Coming up next, Antonio Gates finally makes one of the most important lists of his life. We'll get to that on the other side. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch with you. What a day. Ben Fletcher is like leaping out of his chair right now. What happened to you?
What do you got?
Got jumping beans.
Throwing into the end zone. Touchdown, Antonio Gates.
That was a good one.
And here come the Chargers onto the field.
Yeah, that was celebrating Antonio Gates' 112th reception. Yeah. I should have waited. I love that call. I wish it was a bit more dramatic, to be perfectly honest with you.
Well, I think the announcer forgot or didn't know that it was going to be like the record-breaking touchdown.
Yeah.
And so when all the Chargers come out on the field and start dogpiling on Gatesy, he's like, why are they out here?
Yeah, Antonio Gates is on the finalist list for the Pro Football Hall of Fame as a first-time candidate. So 5 years departed from your career after your retirement is announced, you're eligible to be voted on as a Hall of Famer. And so Julius Peppers, who also retired 5 years ago, Antonio Gates, both now headline this class heading into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I think both of them are first ballots the whole way. Julius Peppers, obviously, longtime rush end, defensive end in the NFL. When I met him for the first time or played against him for the first time, he looked like I looked at him and I was like, oh, we're different species of the same thing. Like he looks like I don't even know how to describe Julius Peppers.
Right. Scary.
Right.
He looks like a Madden creative player in real life. Like he walked off the video game and you're just like, okay, really? Like, what the hell am I going to do with
It's
him?
fake.
Yeah,
It's fake.
It doesn't seem real, but yeah, so he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and I would guarantee Antonio Gates makes it on his first ballot.
Yeah, and as a fan of the game, just how many times you sit and watch one of these games and think of how many times you heard the names Julius Peppers or Antonio Gates mentioned on a broadcast. I mean, they're doing something special out on the field because they're a part of every single play that when they're on the field.
The cool part about Antonio Gates is everyone knew what was coming with him and no one could stop it. And he's one of those rare players in NFL that's the case. But he would literally just turn around at the goal line, stand there, wait for Phillip, box everybody out, and just catch the pass every time.
Well, and it wasn't only that. Like, he obviously had the basketball background, and he was a great short space pass catcher because he had incredible ball skills, but also he was a really talented route runner. Like, he learned the game of football. He understood the nuance at the top of your route, how to, inflect and body gesture to get a defensive back to open his hips the wrong direction. And then boom, he's into a break and he's wide open. Like, Antonio Gates wasn't the fastest tight end. It wasn't like he was the best athlete on the field at all times. There are plenty of safeties who are faster that he absolutely destroyed. There were plenty of linebackers who had talent and the ability to muscle them up, but he just found ways to catch guys out of their leverage. And then also he was paired with one of the greatest quarterbacks who've ever played the game, in my opinion, Phillip Rivers. And so it makes it slightly easier, but still you have to be something insanely special to be on a list with Tony Gonzalez, with Rob Gronkowski, right? I mean, who's a future Hall of Famer, no question about it in terms of Gronk. But Antonio Gates is that type of talent where when you talk about the tight end position, his name will forever be mentioned with the most elite at that position for all of time.
Yeah. No, he played like the Travis Kelce of his time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's that he was our Travis Kelce, except he wasn't dating Taylor Swift.
Right.
I'd argue Antonio Gates was one of the people that opened the door for a Travis Kelce to even exist.
Right.
Because Antonio Gates was an okay blocker, but that was never the main part of his game.
No.
And if we could be honest.
No. And Antonio would tell you that. Look, he worked at it. I'm not saying that he didn't try.
But he was a wide receiver who was bigger than wide receivers, so he played tight end.
Right. Yeah. Antonio Gates, when we were playing.
Did you guys make fun of him?
No, you didn't. But because
not to his face.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was kind of like that. Like, and by the way, Antonio would be in on the joke. Like, he knew what he was. I mean, there were certain times where all of a sudden he'd show up, and I don't know if somebody pissed him off. Like, he could do it, but he was making some business decisions out there. Like, you're not going to throw your body into a block. And frankly, good for him not doing it because it would hurt the team's opportunity for success if he broke a hand.
He was able to have a really long career because of it and break records. Now, we do have about a minute before Travis tells us about how skinny he is. But personality-wise, what was Antonio Gates like in the locker room?
Oh, I mean, quiet, but a wonderful person. And when you got to know him and you connected with him, he was the type of person who was generous with his time and was with his thoughts. And he was a deep thinker. Like you never had small talk. It wasn't like, hey, crazy weather. It was always something to me fascinating that he would have to say, whether it was something he was pondering in general or, like he might have a gripe that he would share with you and you'd be like, oh, that's an interesting thing to be upset about. And it might be something like that I didn't think of. And it could be something involved with what we were doing football wise, or it could be something outside of football. And I just thought that he was quiet and reserved, but opened up to people he trusted. And I appreciated that. Another name on the list who played in San Diego with the Chargers that is almost definitely going to get in either eventually or this year is Dwight Freeney. Dwight Freeney, another former teammate of mine, great player, obviously, with the Indianapolis Colts for a long time and continued his career to San Diego. And then beyond that, he went to the Cardinals, Falcons, and finished his career with the Seahawks, then the Lions. He's most definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame eventually. That spin move, when he and Mathis were screaming off the edges during the Peyton Manning time in Indianapolis, that Colts defense might have been just as good as that Colts offense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, look, holiday season here wrapping up. We are rapidly approaching the new year, which means, you got your New Year's resolutions that you're writing them down, you're figuring it out. And it's always on my list every single year. Drop a few pounds, probably on your list as well. So look, if you're trying to figure out how you want to drop those few pounds, sdfatloss.com. That's the way to go. I'm telling you, because look, you might be thinking, I'm going to go ask the doctor. I'm going to get one of those prescription drug diets. I'm going to go get one of those injection diets. Well, guess what? What you don't want to do is yo-yo diet, which means you sign up for something, you lose a bunch of weight. As soon as you stop that diet, you gain it all back. You don't want to do that. You don't do that at sdfatloss.com. You lose the weight and then you keep the weight off. So the coaches, the staff over there, they're going to show you the correct way to lose weight quickly and then keep that weight off. And it's the 28th. You got just a couple days left here if you want to save $200 off with this holiday special with sdfatloss.com. Now through December 31st, you can lock in the savings right now so you can start this thing in January, kick things off, start your weight loss journey. Go there right now. It is a free consultation if you go to sdfatloss.com. But I'm telling you, we did it. We lost 30 plus pounds a piece in 2 months' time. And then we're keeping that weight off. sdfatloss.com. That's where you want to go. sdfatloss.com. Coming up on the other side, we got to get to our Pocky One Chip Challenge updates. We got our morning monologue we got to get to. And we're going to be talking with Dave Velasquez over at San Diego State coming up next.
It's hour 2 on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. This update presented by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. Last night on 760, you heard the 44th DirecTV Holiday Bowl at Petco Park. USC beats Louisville 42-28. Backup quarterback Miller Moss throwing for 372 yards, 6 touchdowns in the win for the Trojans. In the NFL, Week 17 gets going tonight. Jets and Browns. The Denver Broncos announcing that Russell Wilson heading to the bench. Jarrett Stidham will take over the starting role. Also reported yesterday by Diana Rossini that the Broncos plan to cut Russell Wilson in March of this year or next year. College hoops, San Diego State headed to Spokane, Washington on Friday to take on the 13th ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs. You'll hear that game right here on 760. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.
Yeah! Woo! Happy Thursday to those who celebrate. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch with you on this Thursday morning. We got to make a strong pot of coffee. We got some ass draggers over here. We are whooped. Yesterday's Holiday Bowl here in San Diego has claimed a couple of souls. We are no worse for wear, though. That was a fun experience. Definitely well worth staying up to watch the finish. Louisville hung around in that one. USC gets the win. A high-scoring affair. 42 points, 6 touchdowns scored by USC all through the air. Miller Moss, the backup quarterback to Caleb Williams. Dominant.
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't expected. It was a very nice thing to see, though, because the game was fun. I mean, it was back and forth. Louisville, I think, had the lead, right? First. Yeah, I think that's
7-0.
Yeah, 7-0. And then USC comes, they get on top 14-0 and never let off the gas pedal. But Louisville kept it close. I mean, that was a fun watch. It was fun to be at.
Big congratulations to Mark Neville, everyone over at Sports San Diego, the Redcoats, everyone who put on Holiday Bowl the whole week. The bowl bash with the battle of the 2 marching bands was cool to see.
Parade.
What'd you say?
The parade.
The parade was great. And so now I talked to Mark yesterday on the little lead up to the Holiday Bowl. And I asked him, what does 2 days from now look like for you, Mark? And he's like, I do nothing. I go into full dad mode. I hang out with my wife. I sit down. I eat dinner with my kids. And so, Mark, you're lay down the sword. The battle is over and you've won.
Yeah, I don't think I got home last night till 11:30.
Yeah. Ew, yuck.
Yeah.
It
was late.
Same here. It was a late night, but a good one, especially for Trojans fans. And there were many of them at Petco Park. So if you're listening along this morning as you make your way back up to LA, you can bring us with you the whole time on the free iHeartRadio app. If you haven't downloaded it yet, go ahead and do it. It's the only app that I use for music and for podcasts. Trust me, they have everything you're looking for right there on the iHeartRadio app. Or if you're listening to 760, I'll tell you what, that signal carries, boys. That I can park my car in my in-laws' driveway up in West LA and hear our station clear as a bell. So excited to have all of those listeners, new or old. We're glad to have you all. And if you want to text the show, by the way, 70470, start your message with team at any point during the show. Yesterday, what took over the text line was my haircut.
Right.
I took it right down to the slab after a really, really bad haircut and dye job.
Or it might have been perfect. We don't know. We didn't get to judge.
If you would have left it alone for a little bit, I do think it would have worked out fine.
You mean what?
After you got it dyed.
You think so?
I think the color would have faded a little bit. I think you would have been really happy with the results. I think you gave that Frenchman no credit, and I think he did an excellent job.
I think it was odd how much hair was left on your head after a haircut. It seemed very long.
Yeah, I agree with. I kind of agree with both of you, but I do look at it from this standpoint. It was so jarring, like how much darker my hair. So this for anybody who missed the story yesterday. This French barber convinced me to dye my hair dark brown. And when I say dark brown, it looked
looked jet black, but it would have faded over the coming day. Like she'll hate me for saying this, but my mother dyes her hair, and when she first dyes her hair, it is way too dark.
Yeah.
But then a couple days later, it's like, oh well, no, that looks natural.
Yeah, the color kind of mellows. I get it. I mean, and maybe there's a chance that it was an overreaction. I mean, when I mean overreaction, that may not even be appropriate. It was
a nuclear reaction.
Anne was so distraught when she saw me. She was like, "Oh no! I mean,
You're dead."
yeah, honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, if somebody else walked in the door and said, "I am sorry, Mrs. Ornberger, there's been a tragic accident," it would have been less of a reaction than what I got walking through the door with that hairstyle. So yeah, there's that. So I mowed down the mop, and now I'm left with, I mean, basically my head is shiny. Look at this.
Yeah, look at that.
Get the screen up here.
This is Velcro-y, man. I mean, it's almost the same length as the hair on your stubble, hair on your face.
Yeah.
It's getting there in just 2 days' time. It's amazing.
Grow out the stash.
Yeah,
yeah,
you really should.
I really should. I mean, look, if I right now I'm in the business apparently of turning off women. Not a single woman I've come across has enjoyed this haircut. Not a single, except for LaDonna Harvey, who was like, "You got a good head." LaDonna Harvey over at Kogo News.
Don't forget Marcy.
Oh yeah, Marcy Reed.
That's right.
Marcy's into it.
If you grew a mustache, San Diego Police Department has to give you a badge. I mean, you earn it. It's done.
SDPD is going to be like, sign him up. Honestly, if I grow the beard, I could coach for the Aztecs football team.
That's also true.
Yeah, all you need is a bald head and a beard,
Very
apparently,
true.
And they'll hire you.
Well, we were going to bick your head, make it very smooth and shiny today.
Are we not doing that?
Well, I don't think we have the tools.
We got vetoed.
There's a knife in the kitchen.
Well, I don't think that's how it works.
So I said this was happening to my wife, Sarah, and she said, "No, you're not doing that." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's cool. We'll just do it in the studio. We've done dumber things. It's not a problem. We'll just have a bowl of water." No, you're not doing that. And I'm like, "Yeah, no, it'll be fine." What does Annie say? And I said, I don't know. Call her. I'm like, I don't have Annie's number. Call Rich. Let's talk to Annie. Let's ask. I'm like, I think it'll be fine. Call now. So we're not shaving your head.
So I took out like towels, like old towels. I figured I'd drape them over, almost like wearing like the smock they put on you to get a haircut. So I'm thinking like, oh, I'll bring these in. So I put them on the counter, and then I'm like, you know what? I haven't heard from Travis at all about this since we discussed it on air. I was like, I'm going to let sleeping dogs lie, because I know for a fact that if I walk through the door and I have a freshly like shorn head, there's a good chance I'm sleeping in the yard. So I thought better of it. Didn't text, didn't bring any of the supplies in. So yeah, probably for the best. We do it every day now, the morning monologue. Fletch, why don't you get us started, brother?
I would love to. So, boys, in March every year, it's the Oscars, right? So around this time of year, you start to get all the last-stitch efforts of movies that are going to make the Oscars and movies that are hopefully going to win awards. And so you see all the artsy-fartsy films come out, right? The ones that go to Sundance that no one really hears about, but then all of a sudden they're mainstream and they're available to watch on Amazon Prime or Netflix or what have you. Have you guys seen the one that's getting all the buzz recently?
Which one is that?
It's called Saltburn.
No, but I've seen the reaction videos on TikTok.
So I did too. And so I figured, oh, well, this movie must be really good because people are talking about it. It's getting a lot of buzz around people my age who go to either see it in a theater, it's got a short release going, or it's out on Amazon Prime now, so anyone can watch it. And it's being touted as like kind of a mystery thriller with a big twist in it. So I was like, I'm in. I love those types of movies. So I turned it on, and immediately it's one of those square screen movies. It's not widescreen, so it doesn't fill up everything, and it's shot on some special type of camera, and so everybody's giving it all this credit because it's like that. It's very artsy.
You mean the aspect ratio is like the 4:3 aspect ratio, like we're watching on a CRT television?
Bingo.
Okay, weird.
It takes up a little portion of the big screen.
Okay.
So I'm thinking the entire time, like, oh, this is one of those movies where you got to be an intellectual to watch it. We're not talking about a superhero movie where you just go have a fun time. Like, I better really button down the hatches for this. I get about halfway into it, and all of a sudden, the movie takes a twist, and it is the weirdest film I've ever seen in my life. And I do not feel comfortable recommending this movie to anyone because while it is artsy and fun, there are just some scenes that make you so uncomfortable. And I'm sitting on the couch with my wife, and she's not really watching it. She's on TikTok, and she looks up at the screen while one of these scenes is happening, and she's like, Ben, what the F are you watching in the house right now? And I'll be honest, guys, Oscars should go to the Fast and the Furious movies.
Okay.
It doesn't need to go to movies that just make you uncomfortable. So all you artsy-fartsy directors out there who make your money on making people uncomfortable, just go away. Just more fun, more Michael Bay, more action movies.
I'm with you on this, Fletch. I'm completely with you. The artsy films are not my thing. I don't feel like the good movies are getting any awards, and the good movies are the ones that people want to go see. So in my personal opinion, when the Oscars are giving out awards, they snub the ones that the majority of the country or the world want to go see, and then they try to shove the artsy ones down our throat. Now,
I bet you this movie wins Best Actor and Best Picture.
Yeah, probably. Usually the ones that win the awards, I'm like, yeah, not for me.
Yeah.
And it did have a great twist. I'm like, this had all the makings of what could be a really good movie, but for about 35 minutes of it, you are just wildly uncomfortable.
I don't like the movies that I'm at the end. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. We were talking about this a little bit yesterday about movies in general. Like, I'm definitely the type of person that wants to walk out of a movie unchanged. Like, yeah, Fast and the Furious. Like, I just sort of, I want to eat some popcorn.
Transformers.
Yeah.
Awesome flicks.
I want to eat some goobers.
Right.
Yeah. I don't want to like walk out of the movie theater like contemplating my own existence. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So
I also want the movie to wrap up. Like, I want the story to end in some manner, not leave me going, well, I guess I have to figure that out on my own.
So, okay, here's what you do. Watch the first 45 minutes of Saltburn. Watch the last 20 minutes of Saltburn. You'll be fine.
Okay.
It's just that middle 35 minutes.
It really got you.
You know what I'll do? I'll skip Saltburn.
That's good.
Entirely.
Yeah.
Entirely.
I think I will too. For my morning monologue today, I want to discuss something that happened this past Monday. And we probably didn't discuss it enough because we're lurching out of the holidays. We had the Holiday Bowl yesterday, but this Ravens 49ers game that has really stolen the narrative across the NFL. Lamar Jackson for MVP. It feels like he's knotted up that race. However, I will say this about the Ravens. I still have a sneaking suspicion they are going to be disappointing before the end of the regular season. Not necessarily only because of the Ravens and what I think about that team or how it's built, but also just the way the NFL has gone this year. As soon as we crown someone unbeatable or we use the word juggernaut, they get knocked down a peg or two. And have you seen what they have left on their schedule? They're facing the Dolphins in a huge battle on New Year's Eve coming up this Sunday. And then they have to face the Steelers again, who, by the way, beat the crap out of them earlier in the season in Pittsburgh. Now they get to host them. That's going to be the final game of the season. But that was a physical game. And the Baltimore Ravens, to me, they've skated by in some of these games. Yeah. Like, that was a close win over the Los Angeles Rams. That was a close win on the road against the Chargers. Now, they beat the dog out of the Jaguars, and that was a sound beating they put on the 49ers. But the Baltimore Ravens have had close matchups and losses this season that lead me to believe that they aren't the juggernaut everybody's making them out to be. And Lamar Jackson, while there's a lot of ego and confidence, and I mean, the balloon right now is real full there in Baltimore. I feel like the balloon's going to pop.
It takes one hit with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And the balloon would really pop. They're also much better against NFC teams than they are against AFC. Lamar Jackson in his career, 20-1 against NFC teams.
That's actually
and
amazing.
he's a matchup problem when you're not used to seeing it. So I have a feeling they're going to get knocked out in the AFC playoffs. If they get to the Super Bowl and Lamar's fully healthy, they might win the damn thing.
Yeah,
just throwing that out there.
There is a feeling when you watch the Ravens that they're kind of a three-legged stool. And if one of those legs gets kicked out,
just like Rich Ornberger.
Yep. Tripod.
Speaking of Rich, Joe Moon on the text line 760. Good morning, my guys. Rich, did the drapes match the carpet? Ooh la la. I think he's asking if you shaved everything.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, listen, sometimes you got to take it to the slab, not just on your head and your face. No, I listen. Thank you, Joe Moon, for your concern. I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
TD, what you got?
Look, One of the main reasons that soccer rubs me the wrong way is the flopping. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. You run by a player and then you just see some guy arms flailing, flying on the ground. They throw a card, hold a card up. It drives me crazy. The NBA has become a tough watch because of the flopping. It drives me absolutely crazy. People just throwing their arms up, flailing around, flying on the court. It absolutely rubs me the wrong way. Christmas Eve, the Dallas-Miami game.
Yeah.
Okay. It is the first quarter. Dallas is up 7-3. Miami's got Dallas pinned deep. They're like on their 3-yard line. It's 3rd and 11. Here's the snap. Dak Prescott in the end zone gets the ball off 0.2 of a second before Christian Wilkins from Miami hits him.
Yeah.
Arms are in the air. Christian Wilkins' hands are up. Dak Prescott on the ground. Dak Prescott immediately hops up, wants the flag. They throw the flag, roughing the passer. Now it's a first down. Absolutely drives me bonkers. The rest of the game, no matter what play happened, I watched Dak Prescott fall to the ground with his hands up looking for a flag. Do not start the flopping in the NFL. I cannot stand this. We got to figure out whatever this roughing the passer call is. Let these guys play. Stop watering this thing down and make the NFL the NFL.
I agree. I think they need to have, very similar to other rules, either in the past or currently, they need to have levels to it. Like there should be a 5-yard foul for more incidental contact if you want to try to legislate some of that out of the game. And there needs to be a 15-yard penalty, at very least that change, because some of these quarterbacks like that you just explained, I'm pretty sure we watched the same. It was coming out of their own end zone, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's those plays that make football, especially for people who have been tuned in for multiple decades, it makes it a little unpalatable these days. Now, obviously, it's a great watch, a lot of excitement. The regular season in the NFL, like we've discussed, is better than any other sports league we have in this country. But still, some of it is just like, what are we? We're changing too many of these rules to favor the offense.
And it's not just the quarterback hits. It's also the plays that are designed to get pass interference drives me bonkers.
Right.
Where the quarterback underthrows the wide receiver streaking down the sideline and the wide receiver intentionally turns around and runs into the defender.
It feels like insurance fraud.
Yeah.
Like the guy in front of you steps on the brake to make sure you rear end him. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Well, looking at a headline this morning, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, we know that he's on the Dodgers. He says he would have gone to the Dodgers even without Shohei Ohtani. So good for the Dodgers. Yay,
Right.
Congratulations.
Cool.
How about Antonio Gates headlining he's one of the headliner for the finalists of the Football Hall of Fame this year. Antonio Gates, Julius Peppers, congrats to them. And Dwight Freeney was the other one. He was a Charger back in the San Diego days.
This is I think his second year on the ballot, though. So this is Peppers and Gates's first ballot.
And I think both of them are shoo-ins.
I agree.
Last night on San Diego Sports 760, you heard the 44th DirecTV Holiday Bowl. You heard the beautiful baritone of Rich Ohrnberger. You also heard John Schaefer. We'll talk about him later. That was at Petco Park. USC beat Louisville 42-28. Backup quarterback Miller Moss throwing for 372 yards, 6 touchdowns in the win for the Trojans. NFL Week 17. We're already at Week 17, guys. It gets going tonight. Jets and Browns in Cleveland. Does prime time Joe Flacco hold up to the hype? We will see. Broncos, sorry, TD, announcing that Russell Wilson's heading to the bench. Jarrett Stidham will take over the starting role, and the Aztecs are playing at Gonzaga tomorrow. Their biggest test of the season so far. The 13th ranked Bulldogs, the San Diego State Aztecs, who will vault into the top 25 with a win. I can't wait for this one.
Yeah, really excited. Either win or lose, this is a great matchup for the Aztecs, because if they keep it close with the Zags, it's still very good for San Diego State. If they win, it's a coup heading into Mountain West play. So very excited for that. Very excited to talk to Dave Velasquez, longtime assistant coach on the Mesa with Aztecs Hoops. We'll be catching up with him in about 10 minutes. But you mentioned it there in the update. Broncos bench Wilson. Again, it's more of a financial situation. They'll owe him $37 million if he gets injured and can't pass a physical in March of this offseason. And it looks like they're going to deal him or going to cut him, get out from under this contract or what's remaining on it. and Russell Wilson's days in Denver are numbered. He's tweeted about his future, excited for what's next. What do you guys think is next for Russell Wilson?
I honestly don't know. Brent asked me that question yesterday, and I kind of threw out the Commanders as a potential landing spot. Like, you got to think about teams that are quarterback needy that can afford it, which there's not many of them that can afford it. So Commanders are one spot for me. And then the funny one I kind of throw out there is back to the Seattle Seahawks on a deal.
I don't think it'll happen because Pete Carroll and him had the falling out.
Unless Pete Carroll is out as the head coach at Seattle, which Albert Breer brought up a couple weeks ago on Two Pros and a Cup of Joe. He went back-to-back weeks where he talked about Pete Carroll and then Mike Tomlin potentially both being out after this season. And I don't know that I see either of those things happening, but Pete Carroll, is he 80?
He's no. He's 70 or 72. He's in his early 70s.
Yeah, I don't know where Russell Wilson goes. I don't see him going back to Seattle. I think Geno Smith and Drew Lock are figuring it out up there somehow. They don't look like they're the future, but they look like they were the fix for Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson looks like he got dealt at the exact right time. Like, Pete Carroll knew exactly what he could do and what needed to happen. So I just don't see it back in Seattle, but I don't know where he goes because
Minnesota Vikings, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
interesting to bring that up.
Yeah, that's not a bad call
because Justin Jefferson is stumping for Kirk Cousins to be back as QB in Minnesota. So it's an interesting dynamic there, right? Because Jefferson, I mean, he certainly has sway with that organization. But we know how it is with diva receivers and their requests. Sometimes they're heard and sometimes it's the final straw before the organization moves on. So could it be a package deal? Do the Vikings want to deal with Jefferson, especially after Jordan Addison had the sort of season he had as a rookie wide receiver for the Vikings? Or will they both be traded away? It's really interesting. Well, Cousins, I believe his contract expires this season.
Yeah, Cousins is a free agent.
So it's a lame duck year for Cousins. For obviously for Jefferson, he's still under contract. So
Justin Jefferson becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2025.
Right.
2024, he's due to make $19.7 million with the Vikings.
Could see potentially them signing Cousins through the end of his contract through Jefferson's contract.
Just one more year, which that's Kirk Cousins is the master of the 1-year contract.
Yeah. Little guaranteed money on his way out of Minnesota. It'd be interesting to see if Kevin O'Connell wants to do a redo on this year, because before the Achilles tear, I mean, it wasn't going smoothly, but it
Cousins
definitely
was leading the
derailed
NFL in every stat before he tore his Achilles.
But wins and losses, they weren't killing it. You know what I mean? So that's at the end of the day, that's all that matters to a head coach is, hey, we got to get wins. Last item before we run here and catch up with Dave Velasquez, Baker Mayfield looking like the comeback player of the year. Tampa Baker has worked. Tampa Bay Buccaneers may be a division winner to finish this season after replacing Tom Brady. I don't think anybody saw this headline.
He's been awesome. Tampa Baker has worked. And remember, at the beginning of the year, the Bucs did not want to start Baker Mayfield. They wanted to start the Kyle Trask era, see if that was going to work. Baker Mayfield kind of forced their hand, and he's been forcing their hand ever since.
It's been ebbs and flows, but a 3-1 start to the season. They lost 6 straight games, and they dropped to 4-7 at one point. And then they roared back. So it's been an uneven year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Or I should say they didn't lose 6 straight, but they lost 6 of 7 in the games that followed that 3-1 start. It's been back and forth a little bit, but they got back on track at the end of the season. And he has been sensational as this season is coming to a close. So 26 touchdowns to, let me see, Mayfield's averaging almost 240 passing yards per game with 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. He's currently sitting with a career high passer rating of 96.2.
It's a weird year, man. Dude, this is a weird year.
It's so strange.
But they got the Saints this weekend. I mean, that's a
for the division.
Yeah, that's for the division.
Yeah. Comes to the NFC South comes down to this. Okay, we're going to be catching up with Dave Velasquez in just a little bit. But first, Fletch, tell us about how you lost all that weight.
Well, I'm curious if anyone out there had the conversation that I've had many times with family around the holidays where you kind of say, oh my God, so-and-so, you look so good. And they look at you and just kind of say, yeah, thanks. What happened to you? Well, I had that conversation a lot the last few years. Not this year. This year, I was the one who they were saying, you look so good, because I went to sdfatloss.com and Wayne and Chloe and the whole team over there really hooked us up. We all lost over 35 pounds throughout our time with sdfatloss.com. I've been maintaining down about 40 pounds since I first started, but it's because I called the phone number, 858-665-3211. You get a free consultation. They get a sense of what you need and what your body needs for you to lose the weight, and they have the secret for quick weight loss, most importantly lasting weight loss, using their time-tested methods over literally tens of thousands of clients across the country. SD Fat Loss has broken the weight loss code. Gone are their starvation diet plans. Do away with the latest fads and their long list of side effects. SD Fat Loss is healthy weight loss using real whole foods and proprietary strategies to help your body become you again. In addition to guiding people through their successful weight loss, they also build their clients a roadmap to keep the weight off long term. That's what we're all in right now. If you are done being exhausted with the same old stubborn weight problem, learn how sdfatloss.com could be your final solution. Get on over to sdfatloss.com. Between now and 3 days from now, you can lock in $200 savings with the program. That deal expires on December 31st, so you want to call today, get your free consultation, and start losing weight like crazy so that by the time March comes around, you're down 30, 35 pounds. And you can do it because the three of us did it, and we're idiots. Coming up next, Dave Velasquez joins the show, getting you ready for Aztecs and Gonzaga tomorrow. This update is presented by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. Last night on 760, you heard the 44th DirecTV Holiday Bowl at Petco Park. USC beat Louisville 42-28. Backup quarterback Miller Moss threw for 372 and 6 touchdowns in the win for the Trojans. Aztecs hoops tomorrow night. They're taking on Gonzaga on the road in Spokane, Washington, the 13th ranked Bulldogs. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.
Bigger Seating Fletch, San Diego Sports 760 coming up tomorrow. Bar Cart Friday, the New Year's Eve edition. It's brought to you by Keg and Bottle, 10 locations all throughout San Diego County. Tony Conja going to be here.
Looking forward to that.
We're going to have, I believe, our mixologist, producer Shelly coming in from Star. She's going to make us some holiday drinks here.
Yeah, that's going to be fun too. Producer Shelly, I had no idea she was bartender. She broke that news to us about 3 weeks ago, and she said, "Hey, before the end of the year, I'd love to come in and be a special guest bartender on a Bar Cart Friday." So we're super pumped about that. Also, super pumped to catch up with assistant coach, longtime assistant coach on the Mesa, Dave Velasquez, who will be joining us in just a moment here to discuss the Aztecs. Tomorrow night, heading on the road to Spokane, Washington to face the Bulldogs of Gonzaga. And there he is. We have him. Dave Velasquez joining us right now. So, Coach, what is the travel procedure here? Are you guys already on a bus? Are you on a plane? Where are we talking to you from?
No, we're still in San Diego. We're going to practice here today. And then we got a late flight out. I think we'll leave around 7:30. It's a direct flight to Spokane, and we'll be in there about 10 o'clock tonight and get to bed and then shoot around tomorrow and play the game.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, make it a business trip, right? In and out, get the win, come home, and get busy with conference play. When you have a big one like this, though, ahead, and it's the last one before you get going on the Mountain West, path, the journey through the conference, that actually it's turning out to be a good conference this year. What is the message to the team in preparation for this one, especially with a weird time? You guys have only played twice over basically the last 3 weeks. How do you get the team ready for one like this?
There's no rah-rah speeches with this one. You're playing Gonzaga, at Gonzaga, number 13 team in the country. They rarely lose at home. This is a huge, huge game for us. These are the games that you come to San Diego State to play for in the non-conference. And then when the conference comes, the whole goal every year is to win the Mountain West. So with this one, this is an easy one to get ready for after Christmas in terms of focus, preparation, energy at practice. Getting out the cobwebs that you kind of get at Christmas when you go home. And for these type of games, the guys are ready. The guys are prepared. Guys know, this is a big game for us, a huge opportunity. And we always tell them, opportunities come seldom labeled, but this one comes with a big red bow on it. So our guys will be ready to go for this one.
Hey, Coach, last season was very special, made a big run. Does this year's team look at last season as a motivator, or does it become a bit of a hindrance of they're worried they can't live up to expectations, or how do you spin that?
I have no idea. I don't think. Last year, last year was last year. We're 12 games in. We're 10-2.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about too much about last year. Show some clips about how we want our defense to look because it got to that level last year defensively. We want to get to. There's some actions that we got really good at offensively towards the end of the year, but other than that, that's all gone. The goal is in front of us to beat Gonzaga and then start Mountain West play and get off to a good start. And like you mentioned before, the Mountain West is incredibly challenging again this year. 4 teams in the NCAA tournament, I believe, last year, and right now we have 5 teams in the top 50 in the net. So it's it's one of those things where our guys are just they try to it's so coach cliche to be focused on the next one, but really our guys right now are focused. It's Gonzaga. We're playing at Gonzaga, and it's a place that's really hard to win at. It's fun to say San Diego State, and I remember we went in there with Kawhi that year and won, and I also remember we went in there and we didn't play very well. So we're 1-1 in there in that arena, and it's going to be rocking. It always is. It's going to be a great challenge for us.
Coach, this is the first leg of the home and home. You guys got them at Viejas next year, but this year obviously in Gonzaga. Now Gonzaga has really stacked the deck against themselves with this non-conference schedule. They've played number 1 in the country, Purdue. They've played number 5 in the country, UConn. They've played Washington, who's a common opponent between the two of you, and they lose to Washington. So breaking down the film so far, and I know you and Coach Acker and Coach Rope, I should call him now, have been going nuts through all these different games they've played. What do you see? What's the most challenging about Gonzaga as you head in tomorrow?
I think there's just, I mean, a few really quick things. Their front court of Graham Ike, if you guys remember him from Wyoming, he causes such a problem with just his deep post touches, easy baskets, his ability to draw fouls, which we're concerned with Ledee. We were able to survive the Stanford game when Jaden Ledee got 2 fouls, and then Anton Watson, who for them it's their glue guy. He's their foreman. He can score. He can pass. He can kind of do it all. And then their guards are super quick, very good in transition. Gonzaga's really known for their high pace, high tempo offense. They run much better at home. So the transition defense is going to be important. And how we handle their front court with foul trouble will be the other thing. And then we got to be ourselves. We have to go in there with the swagger and ability to kind of attack them on the defensive end of the floor, on their defensive end of the floor. So when we're on offense, to get to the rim, put pressure on them, make them have to guard us. Put Graham Ike in a lot of ball screens where he's got to stop, our guards from getting downhill. So, and like I said, these guys like they're battle tested. And I feel like so are we. We've had a really challenging non-conference schedule, and I think it's going to be a great game.
We're joined by Dave Velasquez, assistant men's basketball coach with the San Diego State Aztecs, who will tip off against Gonzaga on the road tomorrow night, 6 p.m. You're going to hear that all right here on San Diego Sports 760, home of the Aztecs. Coach, I look at a emerging superstar like Jaden Ledee, and I think to myself, okay, 2 things. A, how did he get to this point? And B, how can he sustain this now? It is, as you know, I don't need to tell somebody who's been doing this as long as you know, a long season. Jaden Ledee is the type of guy who works and works and works and works. I've been reading the press clippings. We've been hearing the interviews. He's been on this station numerous times. How do you keep this guy to sustain, right? Because the worry about a guy like him is overworking himself and maybe spending too much time in the gym.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We actually had that conversation with Jaden yesterday, just about not putting so much pressure on himself, but at the same time you want him to stay doing what he's always been doing to get to this point. So it's a fine line. And as the conference season goes, and you really got to start to listen to your body as the year goes on. I mean, like you just said, it's a long season. We're not even halfway through really yet. We still have 18 conference games in front of us, plus arguably our biggest non-conference game. So it's one of those things where Jaden's going to have to listen to his body. And another thing about Jaden that he'll have to learn is he's never had to play this many minutes, or got the opportunity to play this many minutes, I should say, and you have to, have such responsibility on both ends of the floor. So as the season goes on, it's one of those things. It'll be a little bit of a trial and error, I feel like. And again, you walk a fine line, because the reason Jaden got to where he's at is because of all the great training and all the great time he spends in that gym, and he spends working on his body, and he does a lot of things even out of the weight room and out of the court, on the track, on the football field. You'll see him there after practice running, getting sprints in. So, he's special, and we don't want him to stop being special, but at the same time, we want to make sure that his body can sustain the rest of the year.
Well, what's really nice is it looks like you're starting to get a new little superstar going with Miles Heide, who's not very little, but in the game that Jaden missed, I thought Miles played some excellent minutes, and then Jaden goes out early against Stanford with the 2 fouls, and Miles comes in and plays some excellent minutes. And his real coming out party, I thought, was St. Mary's, where he's playing defense on Mitchell Saxton, one of the better big men in the country, and Miles Heide gave you some excellent minutes. So as the season's going on and you see him grow and grow and grow, and he gets more confident, how much of Jaden's minutes maybe slide a little bit to Miles Heide to make it a little more even?
That will happen. I think in a game like this, a lot of it will be matchup based. In a game like this, if, let's say Jaden's not in foul trouble, but they got both those bigs are rolling, then maybe you can slide Jaden to the 4 a little bit and play Heide and Jaden together. And we're working on that a little bit, and that's something that we're looking into as the year goes on. But a lot of Heide right now, as time goes, we saw it in the Stanford game. I mean, a lot of it has to do with Jaden's foul trouble and the matchups that we're playing against Stanford. We felt like we could go small before we needed to go big, and that's something that we'll kind of be decided by the other team and what they have, and also on the foul trouble that we're dealing with. But you're absolutely right. Heidi's been awesome for us, especially as a true freshman. Rich, I'm sure you remember when you were a young true freshman, to be out there to be contributing. I mean, that's in itself such a massive success for Miles Heide in his freshman year to be this productive as a freshman.
It's nuts. It really is. I remember my first year of college football. I felt like I remember calling home to my dad and saying, I do not belong. I'm not like these people. They're gonna kick me right out of here. I got found out in a big way, and it took me years. I spent a full year redshirting. I spent another year as a backup before getting some starting opportunities in my third year. And then you start piling up some confidence as the years go on. And then you look back after your career and say, oh, why did I make that so hard? But those transitions are so difficult. So yeah, to see a player like Heide as a true freshman having the success he's had, I mean, it's a testament to him as a worker and a player, but also a testament to the culture you guys built. We're excited for you, Coach. We've all been watching. We've been broadcasting your games live here on the home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. Good luck tomorrow night in Spokane.
Kick some Bulldog ass.
Appreciate you guys having me. Go Aztecs.
There you go. Go Aztecs indeed. There he is. Dave Velasquez, assistant men's basketball coach on the Mesa with the Aztecs. They got a big one against Gonzaga tomorrow night. That'll tip off at 6 p.m. We'll have that call right here on the home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760.
You guys proud of me? I didn't even bring up the fact that Mark Few has the most punchable face in the country.
Yeah, you have mentioned that many times this week, though. Yeah, it definitely does. He definitely does have a punchable face. I mean, look, I agree with you. I don't know if it's necessarily professional bring up on the pregame show.
We'll see.
Well, did you want
Pregame
Coach?
show hasn't happened yet, Rich.
Did you want Coach to agree with you on it? Is that what you wanted to go with?
No, that's why I didn't bring it up. I thought I was being very professional. But if there was one coach on the Aztec staff,
you've also brought it up on other pregame shows.
Yeah,
several pregame shows.
Yeah,
not the actual. The Gonzaga one hasn't happened.
Very punchable face. You know what? We should have him on.
Yeah.
This is part of it, though. Mark Few was slated to be on with John and Jim at the Mountain West Media Day a couple months ago and stood him up.
And that's why you want to punch him in the face?
No, I've wanted to punch Mark Few in the face since I was like 13 years old.
Okay. We'll get back to that. But we need to get into this. Has America's sweetheart turned the Kansas City masterpiece into a nightmare? We'll get into that. But coming up, but right now I want to talk to you about Toyota. Okay, so get out to your San Diego County Toyota dealers today. Available now are some of the most popular cars, trucks, and SUVs that Toyota has made. And whatever kind of vehicle you're looking for, they have the right one for you. So Toyota.com is where you should start your search. You can check out the latest offers, compare models, search inventory, find the Toyota that's just right for you. It all starts at Toyota.com. But after that, head on down to a San Diego County Toyota dealer. Any of them are great. I went to one and was so impressed with the sales staff. And you've heard me talk about this before, but this sales staff at Toyota was incredible, informative, but also relaxed. Like I didn't feel like I was being hurried around and shepherded to a vehicle that they needed to move off the lot. I was there to make a decision. They respected that, and they gave me time and space to make that decision. I got the information I needed, and then I was left alone. Right? Because that's what I asked for. I'm like, hey, if you could just give me a second, I'm going to walk around the lot. I'm going to talk to my wife on the phone. We're going to make the decision together. Not sure if I'm going to buy any car today, but thank you for helping me out. And the salesperson said, I'll be in my office. It's right over there. He pointed to the window. He's like, you'll be able to find me. My name's okay, great. And I got to make the decision on my own. Who wants to be pushed around and led around by a pushy salesman at your San Diego County Toyota dealers? They're not looking to do that to you. They're looking to help you make a good car buying or SUV buying or truck buying decision. And by the way, Toyota's Beyond Zero lineup supports a greener planet with a wide range of electrified vehicles. They got the hybrids, the plug-in hybrids, electric, fully electric. So find one that's right for you and that fits your lifestyle while making a positive impact. Can all start at your San Diego County Toyota dealers as well. That's right. Head to Toyota.com to start your search today. Coming up next, she was a good luck charm, and now she might be the worst thing that's happened to them on the other side. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, what a conversation with our buddy there, Dave Velasquez. You get a little insight, sure, but I love the confidence that this coaching staff exudes. Like, they know who they are. They know what they want to do. They're looking to match some of the things that they did last year, but it's a forward-facing program. So nobody's, counting their blessings anymore for making it all the way to the national championship. They're looking to climb that mountain all over again, and a lot of hard work ahead of them, especially tomorrow night. You're going to hear all that action here on the home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. Want to get into this storyline real quick. We're short on time. Taylor Swift. She's really been two things this season. She's been an enormous story. Mm-hmm. But potentially the biggest distraction the Chiefs have had since Patrick Mahomes has taken over as a starting quarterback.
Could you say she was trouble when she walked in?
Wow. You know what? I'll tell you what.
I mean,
that joke still lands.
Yeah. I was happy you went there because I didn't think you were. That makes me happy. So
Taylor Swift fans are now coming after critics of her, I guess, attachment, involvement with the Chiefs overall, and Travis Kelce. They're comparing her. They're comparing her to Yoko Ono.
Yeah. Which is, that is a hell of an insult, Beatles fans, right?
So I guess it was Clay Travis who made the Yoko Ono comparison. Of course, famously dated John Lennon, was credited with breaking up the band, the Beatles. It was Skip Bayless who suggested she's a distraction. I feel like we've been talking about this for a while. I feel like a lot of stations and broadcasters and analysts are starting to look at this through that lens.
Not just sports. The news broadcasters are talking about this all the time now.
You're talking about the fact that maybe she's part of the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is the narrative that's being looked at, but not on the Swiftie side. The Swiftie side, they're going to back their girl Taylor, which I get. But you watch. Look, Travis Kelce will have a bounce back week. It'll happen this week. Taylor Swift is a distraction. This whole thing has been a distraction. There's no way that you can't say it has been. Now, it's been good monetarily for Travis Kelce, but not good on. It's probably been good monetarily for all of the Chiefs, but not on the winning side. It's causing problems.
Listen, I think there's some truth to the fact that a player can become distracted with things going on outside of football, but I also feel like we're scapegoating Taylor Swift a little bit, because if we're going to use her as the reason the Chiefs have problems, I mean, how do we explain away Kadarius Toney?
Yeah,
How do we
right,
explain away?
right.
I mean, like, there have been a lot of other issues.
Here's the Chiefs' main problems. Their one superstar, Travis Kelce, is getting older, and he looks it. He's a step slower. He's dropping balls he never used to drop. He's getting angry at the sideline, I think out of self-frustration more than anything. And their other superstars playing in Miami and having one of the best seasons of wide receivers ever had.
Yeah.
So Patrick Mahomes is left with guys named Justin Ross and Rashee Rice and Kadarius Toney, who are not Tyreek Hill, as much as the Chiefs want to tell you they could be.
I see what you're doing here.
Yeah.
You are taking the blame away from Taylor Swift because you love love.
You love love.
You love love.
And you
No,
know,
I'm saying there's a very football
this
explanation, and that it's a really
manufactured after all.
this whole thing is just such a cute storyline, isn't it?
Well, wait, hold on.
There's going to be a hell of a song written about.
Oh, now
this.
you're changing your tune. No pun intended.
You know
pun
what?
intended, actually. Pun wasn't intended.
I'm gonna miss this season when it's gone.
Yeah.
I really am, because it's been so topsy turvy.
It has been a wild dream.
It really has been. This has been a
it's
fever dream. of NFL
wildest
season.
dreams. Your wildest dreams. Their love is a slamming screen door.
It's going to be a long time before I can shake this off.
Just
God, I'm so
shake it.
over this, and I
Shake
hate
it
myself.
Wow.
All right, coming up next, we had breaking NFL news yesterday. QB gets sat, maybe a potential Hall of Famer. Also, a head coach sidesteps some rumors. We'll get into all that. We also got bottom of the barrel and a couple other surprises on the other side. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch.
This update is presented by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. Last night on San Diego Sports 760, you heard the 44th annual DirecTV Holiday Bowl at Petco Park. USC beat Louisville 42-28. Backup quarterback Miller Moss thrown for 372 yards, 6 touchdowns in the win. In the NFL, Week 17 gets going tonight. Just 2 weeks left, folks. Jets and Browns will play tonight. Broncos announcing that Russell Wilson going to be heading to the bench. Jarrett Stidham will take over the starting role, and Diana Rossini she reported that the Broncos plan to cut Russ come March. And in college hoops, San Diego State heading up to Spokane, Washington on Friday. They got the 13th ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs in their toughest match so far this season. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.
Yeah! Woo! Happy Thursday to those who celebrate. Big Rich, TD, Fletch with you. And finally, we're making the turn. The coffee, the caffeine is kicked in. We had a late night with the Holiday Bowl last night. And so yeah, we're back. We are starting to kick it into full throttle here as the show is almost over.
It feels good.
It feels really good, yeah.
My life is good.
My life is real good. Thank you to everybody who showed up at Petco Park. I don't know why I'm thanking anybody. I mean, it's up to you to spend the money or not, but that was a blast last night. I certainly enjoyed the atmosphere. Maybe that's why I feel thankful, because when you're calling a football game, all you want is a good game and a good crowd, because that level of excitement is what you're chasing when you're part of a game day experience. And that's what we got delivered, and then followed by KGB Sky Show, which was a smashing success. So the Holiday Bowl for the 44th time here in San Diego, it did not fail to deliver. We had a high scoring game. USC gets the victory over Louisville. Miller Moss turns in an instant classic with 6 touchdown passes thrown, 350 plus yards in this game. Looks like USC may have found their next Caleb Williams.
That was a winter night in San Diego, by the way. But 67 degrees.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a marine layer, and that's about it.
That's correct.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Pretty fun time over there at Petco Park last night. We all were a part of it in different ways, broadcasting either pregame, broadcasting alongside of the game, or afterward as well. I was listening to TD on KGB FM as I was driving home.
Cheater.
Come on now. Come on. We had the KGB Sky Show to wrap that thing up. It was a party.
That's like the one excuse I'll give you. Rich, on the other hand, just every Saturday and Sunday is a floozy, just hanging out with other people.
I can't help myself.
No, it's okay. It's just who you are. You're a voluptuous type of guy.
Voluptuous? Does that make him promiscuous?
Yeah, it does. I was stuck in studio yesterday, so I didn't actually get to see Petco Park, but you both were there. How did it look? Football atmosphere at a baseball ballpark. It's always tricky, but they seem to knock it out of the park.
Yeah, it works. It works. It is set up so nicely. Honestly, you could do football there every single weekend, and it would be fine.
I think it does too. They hammered down some of the issues from last year. There was a little issue with the sod where the infield dirt usually is at Petco Park last year. You had some footing issues, and you never want that when you're playing at a ballpark that's retrofitted to play football, because what ends up happening is that becomes a storyline, and it starts becoming a negative, like, do we really want to expose these college athletes to this? There's concern over injury and things like that, but there was none of that this year. The turf held up well. The play on the field was incredible, and I also love to see the way that they use the outfield space. So a football field obviously doesn't take up the entirety of the dimension of the grass for a ballpark. So what they did is they had that like Toyota tailgate section.
I saw all the trucks lined up. That was cool.
Yeah, people could like hop literally in the back of a Toyota pickup truck and watch the game from the field level. It's kind of a neat
they used Petco Park the right way, because you had the Western Metal Supply building at the end of one of the end zones, and you had the Jumbotron right above it. So I love the way they set that up. But Petco Park, you guys are right. Like the Oakland Coliseum, everything always kind of looked out of place when the dirt was still there and people were playing football.
Yeah.
Rich, I'm sure you have some stories about some burns on your arm from it.
Yeah.
But this way, it sets up really nice at Petco Park. So good for the Holiday Bowl. Good for Petco.
Yeah, is it? Did they bring in turf for this?
Yeah.
So it's like a false floor.
They completely they create like they basically create a completely new field on top of the existing field.
Right.
It's hard to do, especially when you're turning around quick and getting ready for other events. Obviously, Petco Park doesn't only have the Holiday Bowl; they have concerts there, those offerings throughout the off season when the Padres aren't playing. So yeah, it's
motocross or Monster Jam, and they're hauling in literally thousands of tons of dirt.
yeah,
pretty crazy.
It's pretty
You
crazy.
should volunteer to be a tractor driver. I could see you behind a tractor.
Yeah. I was gonna do a country band. I want to be called Tractor Pull.
Okay, yeah. No, that makes plenty of sense. Moving on and quickly to this, Jim Harbaugh is getting ready to play in the Rose Bowl. Michigan set to face Washington in the upcoming matchup. And do I have that right? Who's Michigan playing against?
They got Alabama.
Excuse me. Yeah, Alabama snuck in there for. That's right.
Mobile, Alabama.
And Jim Harbaugh. I mean, look, everybody's asking a lot of questions about the trouble Michigan's in and about the season they just had and about their prospects of winning a national championship and all those things. However, they're also asking questions about opportunities in the NFL. This is the second straight year Jim Harbaugh has been linked to these rumors.
Do you want this whole soundbite or do you want just the Chargers part?
Let's just get to the Chargers part because Jim Harbaugh was specifically asked about those rumors that he may be interested in or potentially taking the Chargers head coaching gig.
So when I saw this yesterday, I had to go and look and make sure that this wasn't somebody dubbing over a question about the Chargers because Jim Harbaugh doesn't even acknowledge anything.
Oh, no. Yeah, he was asked there specifically about the head coaching opportunity in Los Angeles, about his former time playing as a Chargers quarterback.
And his time coaching at USD.
And he just goes, yeah, just focus on the game.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, no acknowledgement of the question that was being asked.
It didn't matter. The question just in general about the NFL was the same answer he gave when it was questions about specifically the Chargers. It was almost identical.
Look,
we dominate the day.
The news just broke that he's been offered a 10-year contract to stay on as the head coach at Michigan.
Worth over $100 million.
Like I said to you guys, I don't think Jim Harbaugh's going anywhere. I think that they're going to ride it out with Jim Harbaugh because why wouldn't they?
Now, Colin yesterday on his show made it kind of seem like the Chargers were going to go heavy after him. And what I read into that is saying, well, the Chargers are going to make it look like they're going in heavy after Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, I don't think they can afford him.
I don't either.
I have a lot of conversations with a lot of people, and some of those people know some things, and some of those people think they know some things. And I'm not going to embarrass anybody, but I had a conversation recently with somebody who does what we do and was suggesting that the NFL is going to demand that the Chargers need to make a head coaching hire that's splashy and great. And I'm listening to this and I'm just thinking, there is no way you can force somebody to spend money they don't have. There's no way.
All right, more likely, because these are the two rumors going around about the Chargers, more likely they trade Justin Herbert or they sign Jim Harbaugh to be their next head coach.
Okay, so there is no way they trade Justin Herbert.
Right.
I mean, absolutely no way.
You're asking more likely.
Yeah. What would be more likely between those two?
So
Wow.
I guess Jim Harbaugh, but they can't afford him. So it would have to be like if Jim Harbaugh couldn't coach at the college level, like if something happened where it was a lifetime ban from the NCAA because of all the trouble he's been in, all the, the misgivings and the illegal recruiting or whatever. Like, yeah, maybe there's an outside chance that he would take a discount and go and coach in LA with Justin Herbert as his quarterback. But there is no way the Chargers trade away Justin Herbert.
A better chance that Bill Belichick comes to the Chargers.
A better chance, but still, you're talking about 20 mil plus per year that they'd probably have to pay Belichick. I mean, that's the price tag for a great college or I should say, or great professional coach. College head coach, it's almost like if you're a great college head coach, it's 10 or 12 million a year. If you're a great professional coach, it's like 20 million a year.
Is Harbaugh more expensive than Belichick?
No. I think Belichick would be, of the coaches that I've heard names that are available, probably the most expensive. I would guess. That would be my guess. It's tough, man. Like, you can't deny it has been a rough go for New England the past couple of years. But when you have the level of success that Belichick has enjoyed, I don't see him moving. First of all, he's being paid by the Patriots. So unless they're willing to fire him and pay the rest of his contract, most likely he's going to stay in New England. Most likely Jim Harbaugh is going to stay right where he is in Michigan, which leaves the Chargers trying to cherry pick one of these up and coming offensive coordinators, maybe.
And Ben Johnson has already named his price. I think he said if it's less than 15 mil a year, I'm not considering it.
Which I don't blame him. Call your shot, buddy.
Yeah.
And
now the one name we haven't heard at all is John Gruden. Is there any team that's going to be willing to go after John Gruden?
I mean, you're talking about some damaged goods, and in a way that, I mean, there are going to be players in the locker room uncomfortable with that hire, because
especially if it's in LA.
Well, what do you mean?
The fan base, whatever is up there in LA.
What fan base?
Yeah.
They
exactly.
don't. The Chargers don't have fans. That's the one thing you have going for you. Like, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what the fans think.
One thing you have going is you're not gonna make anybody mad.
Yeah, because they don't really have fans in Los Angeles. But they do. Look, they do have one problem. If you hire somebody like a John Gruden, it truly is like the words that were used in those email correspondences. I mean, that could take him a little while to win the respect of a locker room. And then you have the uphill climb of, is it a fit with Justin Herbert? So it didn't work with Derek Carr. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. In fact, you could argue that Rich Bisaccia had better results after John Gruden got fired in Las Vegas.
And that's the other fun one, is Antonio Pierce. If he doesn't get the Raiders job, which I think it's becoming more and more likely that he will, but they have to go through the interview process. They'll interview a bunch of names. Does Antonio Pierce get looks elsewhere in the league as a head coach?
I think he's earned it. I think he's deserved it. I remember, very similarly to the Rich Bisaccia situation, I remember his name was getting tossed around as a potential head coaching candidate.
And a lot of people think the Raiders messed up by going elsewhere instead of going with Rich Bisaccia again.
Yeah, it's very possible that Antonio Pierce, if not with the Raiders, may get a look somewhere else. However, there is this narrative, and I don't really have much respect for this narrative, but there is a narrative that offensive-minded head coaches are where you need to go if you're making your next hire in the NFL. All right, last night here in San Diego, it was the 44th annual DirecTV Holiday Bowl, an exciting one, 42-28 final score. Trojans take down the Louisville Cardinals. So their star, the Trojan star quarterback, Caleb Williams, did not play. He's readying himself for the draft. However, his backup, Miller Moss, goes in there and lights up the scoreboard, 372 yards, 6 touchdowns, through one pick. He was the game's offensive MVP. And a new tradition that was just started. Lincoln Riley gets the eggnog shower. What'd you guys think of it? Did you see the pictures, the video of that?
Yeah, you should have drank it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's been sitting on the sideline the whole game.
Was it Dale DeGroff Christmas eggnog?
I don't think there was somebody with a hand mixer down there on the field for hours preparing it.
I wouldn't have touched it.
Out of the NFL, we had huge breaking news yesterday. Denver Broncos starting quarterback Russell Wilson was officially benched by Sean Payton. So Stidham takes over. Jarrett Stidham, who's only started 2 games over his 5-year NFL career.
Is that it?
Yeah. 2 starts.
Why do I feel like he started more?
He's appeared in probably 13, 14 games, but he's only started 2 games. It was when he was with the Raiders, and I believe that was the 2022
He never got
season.
starts with the Patriots?
Maybe it was the 2021 season. No, he did not. He appeared in games with the Pats. He never started a single game with them. So it's going to be Stidham the rest of the way. The 9-time Pro Bowler Wilson is going to be holding the clipboard on the sideline. And really just they're going to try to keep him uninjured, because if he gets hurt and he doesn't pass his physical in March, like say he gets a knee injury or something like that, they would owe him guaranteed $37 million.
Yeah.
So they do not want to pay that guarantee. So they're going to bubble wrap him and sit him on the sideline and say, here, you just wear this headset and you chew sunflower seeds until this season's over.
They put him in one of those giant human hamster balls.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, they do. They put him in there and they give him, a Gatorade squirt every quarter.
Good.
They just say,
They don't just have the Gatorade bottle like tied to the side with the.
just every once in a while, just weep.
Unlimited Gatorade.
That would be awesome.
He's a guinea pig. As it turns out, this whole time, here's the problem. That was never. How do you make?
What is that?
That's exactly what guinea pigs sound like.
What?
I'm telling you, look up guinea pigs. How the hell do you know how to do that?
Hey, quick question.
Yeah.
Is body paint clothing?
Ooh, this
you can get away with it on TV.
Okay. I would argue yes, because I want to encourage more people to body paint instead of wearing clothing. But what brought
LA Natalie Reynolds, who went to the gym in only body paint, and some people very upset.
I told you. Yeah,
I didn't even know guinea pigs made sense.
Oh, dude, yeah, they freak out. The reason why they call them pigs is they'll actually squeal like a pig. Like if they see you walking to the room and they like you, yeah, they'll be like, wee, wee, wee. They kind of freak out.
So the one Travis is doing that's called weaking. This one's called chatting.
Song on the guitar.
Just
picture guinea pig guitar.
Guinea pig just like. Who
knew? Learn something new every day. So tell me about body paint. Sorry.
So Natalie Reynolds went to the gym in only body paint, and some people very upset. Some people applaud this move, saying, "Yeah, I mean that's clothing."
It only works for women though, because if you're gonna go full body paint,
Wait,
and
what was the name?
If you got the man parts,
Natalie Reynolds.
I went to college with Natalie Reynolds. I don't know if it's the same one.
Please show him this picture.
I mean, let me see if I can get a picture of her face.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Oh, that's perfect.
She look like that?
No,
Oh,
not
okay.
blonde.
Oh, well, she may be dyed. Who knows? I mean, we found out this week that you can dye hair.
Yeah. I found out the hard way. Boy, oh boy, did I ever.
So wait, why are people upset?
Because is she naked or is she not naked?
Also, okay, all right. I'm gonna.
This feels like the
I
taco burrito sandwich conversation.
Boy, we're getting into hot water if we're gonna go that direction.
We do not want to go there.
Like, is a taco a sandwich?
However, if you are talking about that, I think that's a bit of a hang up here because you're at the gym.
Let's put it this way. Say, I don't know, you're about to use a bench.
Correct.
Right? Okay. And the exercise you're going to do is face down. Like maybe you're doing some rear delt work. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, where you're kind of laying on your stomach and then you're flaring your arms out to the side.
Right.
Trying to work those rhomboids. And all of a sudden you realize the woman who is sitting on the bench prior to you laying flat on your stomach had her bare ass.
It's only paint. Because paint's not getting everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. They're going to, and also, even if it does, I mean, what kind of barrier is that from what lurks beneath? Right.
So the conclusion we can come to is unless you are making contact with gym equipment
Also, by the way, I know
Body paint is clothing.
Hang on.
As soon as you are laying down on a public area, body paint is no longer clothing.
I'm going to say it's not clothing. I'm going to side on no, it's not clothing.
So we're showing the picture of her being painted up, and they painted on what looked like leggings, like blue leggings and a pink, I guess you would call it like a sports bra. Okay. So that's what she wore to the gym. Here's the interesting thing. Like when you bend over to pick up weights, for example.
Correct.
I mean, are you painting everywhere?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, so I'm like, she's not getting dipped.
There's actually a court case about this.
Is there really?
As of February 22nd, 2020, the courts have ruled that it's a simple state of dress, and by itself, it's not a protected expression. So, meaning you could still get charged with what's public nudity or whatever.
Okay. Or like a lewd public act of
it
some
also
sort.
says, though it can often be allowed when combined with protected expression, such as an art exhibit or a part of a protested event.
I get it. Okay, so like it's like burn the bras kind of thing. Like if you're protesting for, I don't know, for feminism or whatever, like, equal rights, something like that. It's protected speech, but just going and getting some biceps work at 24-hour fitness.
Probably not okay.
Okay.
All right.
Unless you're protesting toxic masculinity in the free weight section.
Hold on. Again, to your point, if it's a guy who's painted.
Okay, so that's my point.
I have a very different view on this.
Well, so me too.
Not okay with it.
I'll tell you right now.
Not clothing.
If from I don't know, across the gym, I notice a woman has painted on leggings. I'm not nearly as distraught as if all of a sudden a guy turns around and flails. I don't know. How do you even describe it?
On Lululemons? I don't know how you describe. I don't know how you describe this without getting us in trouble.
He's got a hard right
you
turn.
know what I mean.
That's what we do. Tassels. So, guys, this weekend, like a lot of people, I was with family during the holiday season. So I was up in Long Beach, actually, which, Rich, like you were mentioning, our signal reaches all the way there. So I have a brother-in-law.
Longest beach of them all.
I have a couple of brother-in-laws, actually, who listen to our show every morning because they're in Long Beach. So when they drive to work, they turn us on. One of my brother-in-laws asked, "Hey, Ben, what's Prize Picks?" And I said, well, James, Prize Picks, it's the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They're the easiest, the most exciting way to play DFS. And guess what, James? All you got to do is use prizepicks.com promo/Fletch. You get a $100 first deposit match, and you can start playing within 60 seconds. All you got to do is address a minimum of 2 players, 2 to 6 players. You pick more or less on their player stat projections, and you start watching the winnings roll in. It's the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season. And now I can play during basketball season too. That's right. I'm talking combo projections, which I'm going after tonight because I don't feel great about a ton of the Thursday night football projections. I feel a lot better about some of the NBA ones. So make sure you check it out because you can get Steph Curry and Patrick Mahomes on the exact same one. Or on a case like tonight, you might want to go with Joe Flacco. Testing my skills on Prize Picks this season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's why it's the #1 daily fantasy sports platform on the continent. If you have the skills, you could turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. And don't forget, they have the reboot program, which means if you got a player injured in the first half and he can't play the second half, they will reboot that pick and carry it over into the following week. Prize Picks now offering Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account. Also, super quick withdrawals. I withdrew on a Sunday one time. I got the cash in my account on a Monday morning. Go check it out. prizepicks.com/Fletch. That is prizepicks.com/Fletch for a special $100 first deposit match. prizepicks.com/Fletch.
Coming up next, does it pay to be weird in the NFL? We'll get to that.
Some.
Bring it. 100.
We have a confetti cannon.
We're gonna and we're gonna light that off. Damn right.
So, boys, just I want you to take a minute here, close your eyes, and listen to the soothing sounds I'm about to play for you. I think you're really going to enjoy this.
Okay.
Everybody has to have an alter ego, right? And
Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride. Let's ride.
Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, and let's ride.
with my boy, yes, sir. Let's go. We in the orange, baby. My boy Drew. I got 1-4 with me. 1-4 with me.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Oh no.
Why do you got to keep putting the Russell Wilson in there?
Spicy.
Yeah, they forgot about that one.
Spicy.
That was worse than the 10,000 Broncos country. Let's ride.
Mr. Unlimited.
Everybody's got to have an alter ego. Mine, I figured it out. Mr. Unlimited.
Dude, okay, so if you missed the news, Russ is benched in Denver. Jarrett Stidham's going to take over for the final 2 games. It has less to do with actual gameplay and has more to do with the recent losing. They've gone after a 5-game win streak, by the way. They've only won once in the last 4 games. And so they're out of it.
Rich, here's the problem. We need them to win the last 2.
Why?
Pocky 1 chip.
For me and you? Oh,
we both took
God.
the over 8.5. They're sitting at 7 right now, so they need 2 wins.
So we need Jared Stidham to step up in a big way.
He's gonna have to ball out.
I think he'll have 1 week of him balling out.
So
and then he'll bail out.
It's the Chargers, and it's Easton Stick. It's not like it's going to be one of those it's not Justin Herbert. It's not Keenan Allen. He's done for the season.
And a lot of other Chargers might make some business decisions here in the last couple games.
Oh, I would almost guarantee. But so might some of the Denver players.
Right.
So it's a little bit of tit for tat. Here's the deal. This is less of a big deal in terms of the Denver Broncos' future than we all think. It actually might help them because it keeps him safe and healthy, and they don't owe him that $37 million if he fails a physical in March due to an on-field injury. So not the worst storyline for the Denver Broncos.
No.
The question I have, and Rich, kind of direct this at you because you've been in NFL locker rooms, but when you have a weird teammate, a cringy teammate, more likely, who's pretty self-unaware, because those are words I would use to describe Russell Wilson, is cringy, not self-aware, maybe not super relatable. Does that make it A, tough to be a teammate, and B, tough to stay employed?
Yes to both. Yes to both. Okay. So think about a team the same way you would a family, because it does feel more like a family than it does like a workplace, because you get really close with these guys. There are relationships that bonds that I forged during my time playing football at the college level, high school level, certainly, but also professionally, where those friendships are intact today. And it's because you go through a lot together, and it's very emotional. Like, you forget this is every single one of those guys' dreams, for the most part, to go out there and compete at the highest level of the game that they fell in love with as a kid. So when you get to do that with people you like, it's a lot more of an enjoyable experience than people you don't. And then when you have a guy who just irks you, gets on your nerves, that word cringy is really an appropriate way to describe Russell Wilson.
Broncos country, let's ride.
That was for a promo, okay? All right?
Not all of them.
Some of them is just the way he signs off his press conferences.
Remember the press conference? It was a terrible game. He walked away and then ran back to the mic real quick to get a let's ride.
Dude, but see, that's the problem is that's the point that Ben brought up about self-awareness. Lacking the ability to understand what's necessary. And I'll give you an example of a guy who's kind of cringy, but it's so much baked into his personality, and he wears it well that nobody cares. Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is he's like
you like that?
Yeah,
he's like the Kohl's guy. He even has a commercial going with Kohl's right now.
But I mean, that's because you don't believe that he actually believes it.
I don't know.
No.
I don't believe it. I mean, I think he's doing it somewhat as a goof. That's just part of his personality.
I think he's able to make fun of himself very well.
Right.
I don't know that Russ is making fun of himself in any of these.
I don't think
it's
so.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the point. It's like the nerd who doesn't understand that what he's doing is nerdy. Okay, for example, TD,
man,
you're like a very nerdy guy, but
hurts a little.
It works for you.
No, it's fine. Go, keep going.
But you embrace it.
All right, but you wear it so well because
because I'm aware that I mean,
dude, you have 9 full gaming consoles. I'm talking about arcade game consoles in your garage.
You probably pay an extra $100 a month to SDG&E because of the power bill that racks up because of your arcade games.
You recently sent us a text message picture of you putting coin slots in one of your arcade games. You're like, guys, finally finished it. And we're just like, if we were all in person, Ben and I would have stared at Fletch and I would have stared at each other, and then we would have been like, Travis, take a lap.
I just ordered A jar full of tokens.
Sweet Jesus.
See, even you say things like that, but it's okay
It's cool,
because that
though.
is
It's
Travis
cool.
Dill. You are authentically Travis Dill.
And you're self-deprecating. Like, you understand, like, okay, what I'm into, not necessarily everybody else is into. The problem with Russell Wilson is he has zero awareness.
Right.
He's like, you know,
Right.
the problem is he does
One of
that
my
commercial for
favorites.
Subway, and he's like, everybody's going to effing love this.
We're going to
This
sell
is the
so many
funniest
sandwiches.
thing I've ever done. And by the way, you can't even buy a Danger Witch anywhere
No,
I
yeah,
don't even know what it is. I walked in and asked.
because they
Several
recorded this
locations.
commercial and realized it was going to be awful.
they recorded this commercial and they tried to bury the tape. Somebody found it and then leaked it. And then Subway got a little bit of a goose. So I guess maybe it helped them after all, but holy smokes.
Well, I mean, because Subway was unwrapping a sandwich right now.
So it just doesn't work. And yeah, to finish, like being around a guy like Kirk Cousins or like a Travis Dale in our situation,
Very similar people, by the way.
very
Do
similar.
not wear gold chains.
You guys dress a lot alike.
What? We do? Listen, I mean, blue jeans are comfortable.
But I appreciate that. Like I appreciate the fact that like you are who you are and you understand like, all right, not everybody's into the things I'm into, but Russell Wilson,
But I will force it on you.
Russell Wilson, it feels like it's all, the whole thing is just all make believe.
And when
Like,
you're supposed to be the leader, it just doesn't feel like you have that ability if you are not authentic.
yeah. And so unfortunately for Russ, it worked in Seattle because I think Pete Carroll did a good job of protecting him.
Was he ever really the leader?
But yeah, I mean, the truth is maybe he wasn't.
Like, was Bobby Wagner and the Legion of Doom, were they the leaders of that team?
Oh, the Legion of Boom.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. No, they yeah, don't confuse. You'll get TD over here really upset if you call them the Legion of Doom, because who were the real Legion of Doom?
WWF superstars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Hawk and
The Animal?
no, I think it was God, who was it?
Wasn't it the Animal Laurinaitis?
No, I don't believe so.
Maybe I'm
Gosh, I gotta look it up. I gotta look it up. I gotta look it up.
Yeah,
I
but
gotta look it up.
no,
Tell me about how skinny you are. I'm gonna look it up.
all right. So
By the way, Rich, a lot of people, when we asked them to comment on who you look like, it was all like WWE people. So maybe you missed the career path.
Oh wait, not Demolition.
I know.
Sorry.
I think it's because of the size of my neck.
Would you have
Never
gotten
really
hurt
shrunk.
more in WWE or football?
Probably WWE,
I
to be
think
honest.
so too.
I mean,
Oh man, you are
those-
Road Warrior. It was Hawk and the Road Warrior Animal.
oh,
Yeah.
there it is. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
I played with it, or I played against his son, James Laurinaitis. He was a linebacker at Ohio State. And then I forget who he played with in the league, but he had an NFL career too. Anyways, yeah, listen, along with losing, or I should say shaving all of my hair off, I've lost a lot of weight. Unbelievable.
And not because your hair. I mean, you didn't have that much hair to shave off.
I probably
So it
only
wasn't like
lost
pounds.
well, maybe like 5 or 6 pounds of hair, but it was like, I mean, it's really thick. It's voluptuous.
Which we know means promiscuous.
That's right. That's
We
right.
learned that today.
But if you're looking to lose weight, SDFatLoss.com is the place to go. Wayne and Chloe, the weight loss team over there, they have all the tricks of the trade. So if you're tired of yo-yo dieting, which means losing a bunch of weight, following one of these fad diets and then gaining it all back, or if you've tried some of the medications that are out now, some of these prescription drugs that doctors are handing out to help lose weight, what do you got?
Well, no, I mean, on the text line, Bald Rich looks like he has a garage full of vintage arcade machines.
You know
which is a dig at you and me at the same time.
they covered everything right there.
I tell you, Skinny Rich looks like he's got a line of ladies waiting out the door.
Well, see, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. You know,
Way to bring that back.
I wasn't
Yeah.
allowed to work out at first on SDFatLoss.com, which I had no complaints with. So it made a lot of time for video game playing.
right.
It really did.
It's a good diet for me.
Most people really they don't realize that you can lose weight just from temporarily suppressing your hunger. Like, I didn't understand this until I started working with Wayne and Chloe at SD Fat Loss, but it's true. Like, you can find ways to tamp down your hunger, either using diet or some of the supplements that they help you with. Like, it really is a cool system to follow, and it is a holistic approach, meaning like it's not just about your diet. It's also about your water intake. It's also about, creating a support group. Like, they will check in with you. You have the opportunity 24/7 to message them, and they get right back to you in most cases immediately. It's really, really a cool thing. So 858-665-3211, or you could check them out online at sdfatloss.com. Using these time-tested methods, over literally tens of thousands of clients across the country have lost a tremendous amount of weight. We have all lost over 30 pounds on this show. We've kept it off, and that's the reason why we're so proud to continue to work with sdfatloss.com, and you should sign up too. All right, coming up next, bottom of the barrel. Coming up next, bottom of the barrel. The stories we missed that we must scrape off the bottom and bring to you, coming up on the other side. Welcome back to the program.
You got backwards hat guy.
Big
Hey,
Rich TV
well,
Flex.
sorry. Hang on. Let me fix it.
No. Keep it on backwards. Yeah, we'll all flip them around. There we go.
There we
Travis
go.
looks so cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my gigantic head.
If you were Russell Wilson, what you would have said right there is, yeah, I always wear my hat backwards. It's like what I do. Anyways, I was just doing some high knees down the hallway while these guys were in here just resting.
I mean, during my break.
Me and 1-4 in front of the green screen. What's up? We in orange?
Yeah.
United in orange.
We united in orange. Like, what the hell?
He's a weirdo.
Do we need a Pocky One Chip Challenge update?
Okay, yeah, we do. Really quick. Tell us where we're at, Fletch.
Right.
You've been crunching the numbers. You've been in the lab, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
You've been coming up with reasons why we should be optimistic and maybe pessimistic about the end of the football season.
So here's what's crazy.
Okay.
If all three of us had this piece of paper in my hand, which is the updated records, the updated everything, all three of us would think that we're losing.
Oh, God.
Right.
So,
Right.
I have it in my hand right now. I think I'm going to lose this. But I promise if Travis had it in his hand, he would think he was losing.
Right.
And I promise if Rich had it in his hand, he would think he's losing.
Right.
So there's a lot still to be determined.
9 points left on the board.
Okay.
So over these next 2 weeks, 9 seasons will be decided, and there's an opportunity for a push in here with the Steelers because their line was set at 9. Well, if they win one, lose one, it's going to be a 9.
Okay, so
Got it.
it lands as a push for all.
So
Got it.
the updated standings as of things that cannot change in the last 2 weeks, Rich has 4 points, Travis has 3 points, I have 5 points.
So you're in the lead. If it ended today, I'm eating the chip.
If it ended today, but there's 9 different solutions that are
Right.
left. Who knows?
Right.
It could still end in a 3-way.
So, but as we break this down, I need 4 things to happen in order to gain, to get 4 points.
Well, no, this is where it gets confusing because I texted you guys who needs to win for each person, but all of us have the exact opposites also. We have teams that we need to lose. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's going to get confusing. We'll know more after
all
Sunday.
this says to me is that the handicappers at the onset of the season
are very good at their job.
I mean, think about that. The fact that so much is still up in the air means that these numbers were so crazy accurate that they're going to be close.
So here are the ones that have gone final already. Lions went over their 9.5 projected wins. Panthers went way under. Rich, congratulations.
Shoot.
Their 7.5 wins. Bucks went over their 6.5 wins. Cowboys went over their 9.5 wins. Giants will be under their 7.5 wins, which sucks for me and Travis. Ravens will be over their 10.5. Colts are over their 6.5. And the Chargers are under their 9.5. That was the one they really whiffed on this year, the Chargers.
Yeah. Well, the Chargers sold everybody a bill of goods this year. It just, what a complete disaster for Brandon Staley. And not to pile on, the guy's already lost his job, but
what do you think he's doing right now?
He's still collecting paychecks.
You're right.
But is he interviewing with colleges, you think? Because I don't know that he gets another crack at the NFL right away.
He's on a beach somewhere with his girlfriend.
I would take a vacation.
Yeah.
I would, if it were
a wife,
me,
I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
This is when college teams are hiring their coordinators, though.
Yeah, I mean, look, if he's interested in coaching next season and not just collecting pay, all he really has to do is reach out to his agent, and I'm sure he could book a job at the college level. I don't think he's going to get a head coaching job. I think most likely it's going to be a coordinator role. I mean, even
probably not in the NFL.
Yeah,
unless he wants to be like a defensive backs coach somewhere.
Right. Well. Yeah. I don't think he would be hired as a coordinator in the NFL. Yeah. It did not go well for that Chargers defense over the last 3 years.
And also let this serve as a reminder to people that when you have Aaron Donald on your defense, you could be a pretty good defensive coordinator.
That's true. Yeah.
As well as Jalen Ramsey was on that defense. Like you could be a pretty good defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Who do we think?
We think Dave Velasquez, the longtime assistant coach up there on the Mesa. They got Gonzaga tomorrow. I'm so excited for this game. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, the Roadies, the Dogs, the Hangers, the Bangers. Bar Car Friday coming up, baby.
Tomorrow. It's a New Year's Eve celebration.
You're damn right. We got Colin Coward and the herd coming up next. Stay tuned for tomorrow. Bar Car Friday.